Hello, everyone. This is Andres Restart. I am joined by my good friend Brandon, and tonight, as usual, we are talking about Nintendo. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, just life.
Life.
My birthday was last week. A lot of things happened last week. I ended up missing the podcast last week because my tire blew out, hit something that I couldn't see at 1 a.m. In a parking lot that was just laying out in the road. I'm not even sure what it was. Just something. It had to have been pretty big. Got that fixed. I went to the beach. That was fun. Did that for my birthday.
Go
And
swimming?
Yeah, I did. Despite apparently there being more sharks than usual. I'm like, okay, yeah, the more than the like 10 deaths a year that happen. Was there 15 now? Okay, I'll still go in the water. I wasn't
Fair.
afraid of no shark. You just punch him in the nose. It's all good.
If you
No,
see
I
him
really did
coming,
not. I did not want to see a shark, but I was pretty hopeful there wasn't going to be, and there wasn't. No
there
sharks.
usually isn't.
Yeah, there's just if you don't know, there's apparently a lot of more sharks in the Gulf now, and there's been more attacks than usual. But
Yeah,
the amount of
it
attacks
is
that are
odd.
usually happening are so low, it's like it doesn't really matter.
Right. I mean, if you double your chances of getting attacked by a shark, it's still a
Yeah.
very small chance. But
You're more likely to just get in a wreck on the way back home from the beach.
yeah. That is scary, but yeah, at least you didn't have to really worry about sharks while you were at the beach and you had
Nah.
a good time, right?
Yeah, I had a good time. Had some drinks. It was fun. Went with my friend Kevin. We had a good time.
Cool, cool. I don't really know what happened for me. I don't remember what happened this last week.
He has
Oh,
amnesia.
it's all a
Can't
blur.
recall.
It's all a
To be
blur.
fair, when you asked me how I was doing, I was also like, "What has happened?"
What? I don't know.
So much has happened that it's like I can't remember any of
I
it.
mean, the thing is, whenever people ask me how I'm doing, like all I can say is like, yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of doing my thing. I make
Right?
videos every day, pretty much, and I go to the gym or play basketball or tennis almost every day.
That
That's
sounds
my
fun.
life. My cat is healthy,
Nice.
and
Always
that's
good. Always
it.
good.
That's it. I am watching the latest season of The Boys.
Ah,
Finally.
nice.
Yeah,
I
I
gotta,
actually.
I gotta get started on that. It's hard for me to watch The Boys. It's so like intense.
You know what I don't like about The Boys? I actually love The Boys. Right, I
I
love the
love it
show.
too.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
if I could ever rewatch it just because it was like so intense for me to watch it the first time. It's just like, oh, the things that happen in that show are like nigh on traumatic. It's,
yeah, I mean,
it's, a,
there's some
it's a
dark
lot.
stuff. But on that note, like, but when I watch a show when it's like spaced out, it's fine, right?
Mhm.
Like between the typical, dialogues and scenes that going on. But the recaps, because
Ah,
whenever they do the recaps, I always skip them. But whenever you watch the recaps, it's brutal because they basically just
hmm
layer all the disgusting, violent
Oh
things that
God.
happen all in quick succession. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's a bit much, and the sound effects are really loud too. So
Right.
yeah, yeah. I skip the recaps not just because if I'm binging it, I don't need the recaps, but also
Right.
it's pretty hard. They're pretty hard to stomach. But yeah, I mean, I like The Boys. The Boys is a good show. I don't think it's perfect, but it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I'm on episode 5 right now, so
Nice.
it's a good time. But anyways, for those listening, we'll be getting to the chat. But the basic plan for the evening is to talk about our latest news that we've gone for the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. We got a new trailer, but also some website updates and some indications about what may be coming next in terms of Echoes of Wisdom news, because there's going to be more. And we'll talk about like some of the discussion around maybe as all the director, it maybe not happening now because of the form of news we're getting for this game. But then beyond that, we're also be talking about news that we got Sunday evening, where Monolith Soft announced their new recruitment
Hmm.
page for this new RPG that's apparently open world. What is this sort of suggesting? We'll be diving into that, and then we'll also be touching on Nintendo's financials because we got their quarterly results at the end of last week, and there's some interesting things to take away from that as well. So I actually kind of think like this last half week or so has been pretty jam packed in terms of
Yeah.
Nintendo news. Like I feel like those three topics are pretty significant. And what's kind of interesting, um, for those that haven't been able to gather from the title, um, this title is almost like a sequel to last week's live stream. So
Hmm.
last week, let me see if I can. By the way, guys, if you could like the stream, that'd be super helpful. Get more people to watch, comment, all that good stuff. I appreciate it. We'll be getting to the chat soon. But let me see. Let me just show you. So, okay. So this is a live stream last week, and I used a little meme. Come on, do something of the dude poking the Nintendo logo,
Right.
and the title was "Is Nintendo about to announce something?" Right? Did they do something? And here this week, that after this, it's almost like I summoned Nintendo to do something because guess what? Nintendo's actually doing things now. That's the title for tonight's live stream because between tonight and last week, there have been several big stories that have surfaced. Nintendo activated. They opened up a little bit. So it's just kind of a fun little thing. Yeah, we got things to talk about here for sure, and I kind of feel like there's probably going to be a lot more soon. But
Oh yeah,
that there's a lot now. I'm not really sure what we're going to start with, but I guess what we can do is just kind of jump into the chat, see how everyone's doing, and then we'll figure it out.
The chat will probably segue us into one of the topics, anyways.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen. Oh, by the way, new emojis. Finally, I've updated the emojis. There is now a Samus emoji for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, as well as Silex for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Zelda on a horse from The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Those three emojis have been made available. Now, I do regret to say that I had to retire one of the emojis because we don't have enough members to have a 12th emoji yet. So we need to get 4 more members before we can get to 12th emoji. So in order to add Zelda on a horse, I was like, oh, I needed to take something out. So I took out our little Salmonid, but it's just a temporary thing. Salmonid will come back. I may cycle some emojis, or we'll just get more members, and then I could add even more. But so in case you miss a Salmonid emoji, they'll make their comeback at some point. Anyways, to the chat. Hello there, Having Hope. Hello there, Netweed. Hello there, Sam Talks Games. How are you all doing this evening? Connor, hello there. Crazy Scott, hello. Super Chris, hello. Connor adds, say hi, Hunter. So you know what Nintendo should actually be doing, which is releasing a new 2D Kirby game or any of the full remakes of Triple Deluxe and Robobot and giving us Tamagotchi Life. I bet a lot of people would love those. And then Connor also said maybe they can give us a remake of Star Fox Assault. Now you're talking. That's my language right there. I would love to see a remake or a remaster of Star Fox Assault. I don't even really feel like I think a remaster would be fine. I think the game's art style would actually translate pretty well with some texture enhancements and a few lighting upgrades. So you could just remaster it. It would look pretty good. I mean, you could, even with the remaster, technically, you could give it a full-on visual facelift, right? So like they could even do more, and it's still kind of at the core of the same game. And you could still add some things gameplay wise. Like you don't have to remake it. Is my main point. Like there's a lot of good there. Some alterations could definitely make it a lot better though. In terms of the Kirby stuff, there are some Kirby rumors going on right now. I do think that it makes sense for a new mainline Kirby to come out next year. Because going by the pattern, whenever there is kind of like a whole year without anything from HAL, that's usually a good indicator that they're gearing up for a new mainline release. I've been campaigning for a 3D Kirby game, a Fall to Forgotten Land.
Yes.
But some rumors out there are suggesting it would be a new 2D Kirby. Now, these rumors
Oh.
originate from 4chan, so I don't know if I want to believe those.
Mm.
But at least from Nintendo Prime, he's heard from one of his reliable sources apparently that we don't know what, but something Kirby is coming, and so maybe
Right.
maybe there's a correlation there. But yeah, something Kirby's coming. You look at the release pattern. I think it makes sense to expect the mainline Kirby sometime next year. I would assume maybe early next year before the end of the fiscal year. We don't know about any February or March releases yet. And we have seen a lot of Kirby games come out in those months. So things could be lining up for that. Moving on here. Michael Blythe sounds like a nice life. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes simplicity is key.
Facts.
Let's see here. Soul Kid, what's going on? Is this clickbait? I don't know. Is it? Whoa, Nintendo's actually doing things? I mean,
I don't. They are doing things.
They are doing things. So, I mean, did the title and thumbnail encourage you to click the video? Did you count that as clickbait? Because then that means literally everything in existence is clickbait. But is it an accurate statement? Yes. Nintendo's doing things. This is true. We're talking about the things that they've been doing. And as I discussed earlier, it's kind of just like a joke on what we talked about last week, how we were kind of hoping for Nintendo to start doing things, and now it looks like they're doing things. Over the last week, it looks like they've opened up a little bit. So there it is. Dark Dragon of Destruction. I mean, if we can have both 3D and 2D of Mario, Zelda, and Metroid, then we can go back and forth between 2D and 3D Kirby as well. Yeah, we totally can. I think for me, I've been so 2D Kirby gassed that I'm good. We just got Return to Dreamland Deluxe last year, and it had an epilogue quest that was new 2D Kirby content. So if we get a new 2D Kirby for February, I'm probably not going to buy it. I don't know. Maybe they do something cool.
I'll buy it if they do something cool, like if it's a unique idea, like Planet Robobot was.
Sure. Yeah, I shouldn't. I shouldn't say that I won't for sure, but I'm just kind of basing it off the history. Like, I have not purchased most 2D Kirby games.
Yeah, I am curious if it is going to come out shortly before Switch 2. I assume it will probably just be some kind of spin-off and not a mainline game.
I don't know. The spin-off,
I'm just coming to Switch 1.
It would be great if it's a Kirby Air Ride remaster. I'll buy that.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would be all in on that. I would much rather get a Kirby Air Ride remaster than a new 2D Kirby, if that makes any sense. Just because I don't feel like... I don't think, I should say, that if they were to provide a new 2D Kirby, that they would bring much to the table. But I'm basing this solely off of most of their entries, right? Because, as you said, Robobot is a good one. And really, none of them are bad. I want something more, I guess, different, if that makes any sense. And also, I never owned Kirby Air Ride, so for me, that would be like a new experience. And we always need more Nintendo racers.
I just don't want a Star Allies situation where it's just a very basic but very visually appealing game.
I remember when that game came out, or before it came out, they put out a demo. I wanted to like that game. I wanted to buy that game, and I downloaded the demo. I played it with friends, and I was just like, "Yeah, this is."
I do know that some people enjoy the game, so maybe the game gets better and the demo's just really bad. But I don't think the game's anything special. But I don't think it's as bad as the demo implies it is, because the demo makes it seem really, really boring. And I know that people do enjoy the game, so it can't be that bad.
Well, I mean, obviously everyone has different opinions. I mean, there are 2D Kirby games I've enjoyed. I mean, if I didn't, then that'd be, Kirby's been 2D.
Plant Robobot.
most of the time, like its entire career, right?
Yeah.
Not counting Forgotten Land. I mean, I really like Kirby Crystal Shards, Canvas Curse.
Mm.
Canvas Curse was unique though, because that was like where he was a ball and you would draw all the roots on DS. That was a cool one.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they did like a sequel on Wii U, sort of, with Clay.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, if it's a 2D Kirby, I'm gonna pay attention to it. Maybe do something unique with it. I'll be into it. But as I said earlier, I'm it's a I'm not likely to buy it just based off the history of 2D Kirby releases,
Yeah.
but you never know.
I imagine if they release a game shortly before Switch 2, it will probably be like something small. I don't even know if it would be like a full-on main, like new 2D Kirby, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I mean, well, they just put out Return of the Dreamland Deluxe last year, as I said. I think a spin-off makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
Kirby
Spin-off
Air Ride
for
Remaster. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
That would be so good.
A new spin-off or a remaster of Air Ride or something.
I would even take a Canvas Curse too. Then you can only play it in portable mode. You draw with your finger, like as people would be annoyed by that, but
you
I
could
would
use
actually.
gyro pointing and just have a recentering button.
I guess it wouldn't feel the same.
It
But
works.
yeah, it doesn't feel right though. Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens though. Maybe we'll get an announcement relatively soon. I mean, actually, like,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's something Kirby coming soon. I just don't think it's going to be something
Yeah.
big. I think they're waiting. They're putting most of their effort towards that Forgotten Land sequel
yeah,
for Switch 2.
yeah. Velociraptor Ghost adds me and says, "I want to see a new Metroid Prime 4 trailer." So about that, I don't think we're going to see another trailer for Metroid Prime 4 in a normal Nintendo Switch 1 Direct this year. I think if we're going to see more of Prime 4 this year, it's going to come in one of two different places. In either a Switch 2 teaser. Actually, I'm willing to bet that that's probably where we see it. But I also think there is a solid chance they show it off at the Game Awards.
Okay,
we could even see it twice this year. I just don't. I don't expect to see it in a Switch 1 Direct. Like even if there's a general September Direct, which I'm not even sure there will be, but even if there is, I think they'll skip that Direct with Metroid. They skipped directs like that for other big games like Splatoon, Zelda. They could do it for Metroid as well.
Yeah, I think if they do end up showing it off at both events, then likely at the Switch 2 reveal event, they'll likely show mostly the same footage, just the Switch 2 version, and then like at the Game Awards will be like a new trailer. There might be like some new stuff, but I imagine it won't be like a ton of new stuff in the Switch 2
Brandon.
reveal.
Hear me out. We've made a lot of comparisons to Breath of the Wild with Metroid Prime 4, right? And now I feel stronger about those comparisons than ever before. I don't think Prime 4 is going to be a day one launch title like Breath of the Wild, but I do think it's going to be a cross-gen game early on, right?
Yeah.
And so I do think there's going to be some similarities to the marketing. They made sure to give us a proper trailer of the game before the Switch to reveal. So far, so good. Mm-hmm. I kind of think that, like, you look at how they handle Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was at the Game Awards of 2016. They showed it was a gameplay of Link exploring the Faron region. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember the exact footage you're talking about.
Do you know Faron, where there's like the thunderstorms and stuff? Where there's like that giant dragon head statue you walk into. He was there. There was gameplay at the Game Awards in that area. And then in January, they had the big epic Breath of the Wild trailer. It was like a 3+ minute long trailer.
Right.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Prime 4 in the teaser. But the thing is that Prime 4 in the teaser would probably only be a total of like 10 seconds of gameplay, if even that.
Right. Which is why I think it would just be mostly recycled stuff and not like a ton of new.
Oh, in the teaser, yeah.
In the teaser. I'm not talking about the full like Switch 2 event where they might have like a full trailer or something. I'm talking about the teaser.
I think there'll be a little bit of gameplay, but maybe it's a blend.
Right. I don't think it's going to be a ton of new stuff, and maybe it might be like different
A couple
angles of the
things
same
that
stuff.
we can freak out about. Maybe they'll be like, "Oh, here's Ridley," and we'll be like, "Holy shit, Ridley's in the game!"
Cool.
Like something.
Yeah. Like a few new things, and then mostly just maybe different angles on the same stuff we've seen, if not the exact same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be. It's not gonna. It's definitely gonna be a talking point for us. There'll probably be a couple visuals on it,
and they do want people to be able to make comparisons to the same footage like pretty quickly. So be like, "Oh, look how good the Switch."
We might not even be able to tell that much from the trailer how much better it looks.
It depends.
I mean, we might be.
It depends on the quality of the trailer and what kind of enhancements they're making.
Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, I do agree that we're not going to learn that much from the teaser about Prime 4.
Right.
But there'll be at least a few seconds of some new stuff. And to your point, a lot of it may be similar areas, but we'll still get something new from it. The bigger opportunities to learn something extensive about Prime 4 would be the Game Awards or just the Switch 2 full-on presentation where they provide solid trailers for several big games, which I assume will also include Prime 4.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah. All right, let's just move on. Let's see here. Let's see. I got the chat jumped on me. No, it jumped me.
Oh God, the chat's beating them up.
Yeah, AB James adds me. Thoughts on the horse design? Actually, thoughts on the horse design and Echoes of Wisdom. I'm not a huge fan of it. Neither is Nintendo Prime.
Really?
LOL.
I love it. I think it's adorable.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah, what would be wrong with it? I don't understand. It's a cute little like miniature like toy horse looking thing. It fits with the art style really well.
I'm just what? Let me see.
Like, I don't understand what they could have a problem with. I guess it's kind of simple, but the entire game is simple. It's a very simple style.
Yeah, I'm not annoyed by it at all.
It fits like perfect.
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome looking. I mean, I'll go back and look at it again.
I'm gonna put the image up here for.
Oh, cool.
I got a PNG of it. That's why I was able to make the emoji.
Right.
I can't find. I have too many. I have too many windows open. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, you see it?
Yep. I like it. I guess maybe they thought it should look more like Epona, but I don't think it's supposed.
But there's
to
other horses. There's a white horse as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be Epona or anything. I think it's just a horse.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with the design at all because it matches the design of the characters.
Yeah.
Like it's a cutesy little character. I think it fits well. I'm mostly excited for the gameplay that it offers, right? The camera zooms out, you can move around the environment with some speed, but you also like there's a natural flow to it. You can vault like, walls and fences. So, you'll have to, like in 2D Zelda, if there's a ledge, you can't go past it, right? You have to find a way around it. This is like you just cut through things like that. It's going to make traversal feel a lot better. And because it's 2D, it's probably going to be a lot easier to control than 3D. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a lot of people with the sentiment that horses in 2D Zelda are going to feel better than 3D.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. But that's gameplay stuff. We're going to get to that in a bit. Let me get to the super chat here from Netweed09. Thank you for your super chat, Netweed. Netweed says, and a big thank you to the restart with the Silex emoji. You're welcome. I finally added it. To be honest with you, I saw your chat. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta activate these now. So thank you for the reminder. I got him. And Boo Mini has gifted a membership. Thank you for gifting that membership. Who is the lucky winner? Boo Mini was gifted a membership by Boo Mini. Ho ho!
Oh my gosh,
that's incredible.
What luck!
Is this history? Man, Boo Mini is so kind, especially to Boo Mini. That's awesome. Thank you, Boo Mini. All right, where were we in the chat? Let's see here. Dark Dragon Destruction. Personally, I don't believe the leaks, and personally, I'd rather a new Kirby happen on the next system. I agree. Well, at least in terms of what I want. I don't.
Yeah.
I'd rather just wait for a 3D Kirby.
Yeah.
Like
I think whatever Kirby
on Switch
content
2.
may come out on Switch 1 before Switch 2 isn't gonna be a big enough project to impact the 3D Kirby on Switch 2.
I hope so.
That's just
Yeah.
maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they come out with a huge big budget 2D game right before the next system.
I mean, if it's good, then great. You know,
Yeah.
they just don't expect that.
No.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be fine.
I could have seen it maybe this year. If it happened this year, I would have understood a little more. But like next year, when it's not even announced yet, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Netweed 09 is really going to heat up now. We've hit August. Switch already alone has a healthy lineup. The Forgotten Land sequel is pretty much a given in terms of how Nintendo have picked up the ball of late. Yeah, I mean, I think it is a given that Forgotten Land will have they'll make another 3D Kirby.
Oh yeah.
It's really just a question of when, not if.
You don't not make a follow up to your best selling game.
Yeah, but I guess the concern is, will they not immediately follow it up? Because I just
I don't know. I kind of feel like
we've been on this already.
Expected this to do well. I don't think it was a big shock when it did really well on Switch. So I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't already immediately just like, next 3D game.
Whoa, Johnny Hernandez is putting out a pretty interesting prediction here. What's up, bro? I think Nintendo is going to drop the Switch 2 trailer this month, August, and September going to be the reveal of the console. So, trailer August, presentation in September.
Whoa,
that is pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Launch in November, JK, or is it? Yeah, that would be nuts. I'm for it. I mean, I've talked about how I think August is the earliest we could see the Switch to reveal. That's kind of what I'm pinning my hopes on, but I'm open to it being revealed in September or October.
Right.
So we'll see, but I hope you're right, Johnny, because the sooner the better. AB James says Pokemon's EA gameplay I feel is coming soon. September Direct may even see debut gameplay. Well, the Pokemon Presents the last 3 years has been in August, so I'm kind of thinking we're going to get another Presents this month where we'll see. I think there's a really good chance we're going to see Pokemon Legends EA this month.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We got to see that game on Switch 1 first.
Yeah. Netweed09 poses an interesting little conundrum here. Just, I don't know if we should call it a conundrum, but just a cool thought. Netweed says, I just cannot imagine what the bosses will be like, even the starting boss, and then use multiple Metroid Prime 4 emojis. Yeah, I mean, I can't. We haven't seen any Metroid Prime 4 bosses yet, so how are they going to look? Like that's that. Metroid Prime bosses have been some of the coolest bosses Nintendo has made. So hopefully they kind of maintain that. I think they will.
And
stuff.
Prime Remastered, they have cool bosses, but they're very limited to like the original animations and patterns because it's just a remaster. They didn't remake the bosses and the boss fights. So we have a potential to see a lot more interesting boss encounters and some cooler animations and things that happened during the boss fights that weren't possible on GameCube.
I mean, you look at Metroid Prime 3, one of the cooler boss fights is this boss fight against Ridley where you're falling down a shaft. and the entire boss fight, you have like this meter counter as you're both just barreling down to this bottomless pit, seemingly. Except it's not bottomless because there is an
Right.
end. But presumably, if you don't beat Ridley in time, you die from falling.
Right.
So, but you're basically fighting Ridley in the air, and so it's a cool exchange. Ridley
That's cool.
grabs, you have to blast his face to knock off, and yeah, it's a cool fight. So I'm very interested to see like what they come up with for Prime 4, and maybe it is beyond just a typical, oh, you have a circular arena, just strafe around this boss and hit it at the right points. Like I definitely think they could come up with some very unique stuff.
Mm.
I'm all
Oh
for
yeah.
going like Shadow of the Colossus style. Like give us those
Oh
moments
yeah.
where we get on top of them. I mean, think like in Metroid Dread, there are moments like that against the bosses actually, where Samus
Mm.
would get on the boss and really like blast him in the face and get up close and personal. Like when Samus
Right.
climbed on top of Kraid. Like I'm all for moments like that in Prime 4. That I think that'd
Oh
be
yeah.
pretty awesome. Yeah. Having a hope post 8 Zelda on a horse emojis. It's a whole army. It's funny. Joycey J with a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Joycey says, "The Legend of Zelda: My Little Pony is fire." Maybe that's
Yeah.
where we should jump into first, Brandon.
Okay.
The Legend of Zelda: My Little Pony. What do you make of this game, Brandon? What do you make of the latest updates? Like what are some of the standouts here for you?
I mean, I like Bind. I really like Bind. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
part of it.
It's very similar to Ultra Hand in some ways, just in the sense that you kind of like just move an object in 3D-ish space. But obviously, this is more 2D space. I thought that was a really cool mechanic, especially because you have like reverse bind and things, which I thought was really, really unique. Like being able to bind yourself to something else that's moving to get around, I thought
Yeah,
was super,
I
super
thought it
cool.
was odd how the naming choice. So it's bind and reverse bond. If I'm not
Oh, is
mistaken,
it?
like they didn't use the same word with reverse. They
Okay.
used a different word with reverse, but
Huh.
it's the same mechanic. It's the same
Right.
mechanic. I think you press X to use them, and when you're using bind, you press R. At least based off what I interpreted from my trailer analysis, you press R to use reverse bond, and that's when you can basically allow whatever you're binded with to take control. And so that's going to be
Right.
neat to see how like all the different possibilities there.
But yeah, other than that, that was a huge mechanic. Obviously, I think there's still probably a few mechanics that they're hiding from us. But those are that when obviously the echo mechanic are like the two big ones we know about right now.
Yeah, well, I guess what there's actually a lot that's interesting with this, because in the trailer, Zelda has 5 hearts when seemingly bind is introduced, right? Like in that one scene where she moves the boulder with bind, they show how Tri is like right next to Zelda close up.
Yeah.
It almost seems like they're implying this is when you learn how to use bind. No, that's not 100% confirmed, but that was my interpretation of it. And if that's the case, there's the implication that this is not that early into the game, because she already has 5 hearts. We've seen gameplay where she has 3 hearts. So,
Right.
and from what we've seen, it doesn't look like there's like, like in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, where you have like a closed off area to obtain all your abilities and sort things out. Even though we've seen a lot of elements that make this game seem a little bit more open and very similar to Breath and Tears in a lot of ways, I think what we're seeing from this trailer is actually a little bit of an indication that there's some level of linearity here. Maybe you only get
Hmm.
echoes at 3 hearts, right? But after a certain point of progression, you then get bind, right? So it's not like
Right.
immediately afterwards. There is a bit of gameplay there that needs to occur. we still don't know for certain yet, but
It's
that
hard to
was my
say
interpretation.
because there is this kind of like gameplay loop, I believe, in the game where you go into like the rifts and then you dispel them, and then new places are that you can go to like are available. So I'm not sure, like maybe the places that in the beginning of the game are quite restrictive. So maybe maybe it starts off a lot more linear than it is later into the game. So then you get that kind of tutorial thing without having to have like in a specific tutorial section of the map. I think that could make maybe that's what's happening here, because it does seem, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do have it like it where you can do like most dungeons out of order and things like that. Because I mean they were already trying to do that with a Link Between Worlds, where you have the item shop and you just buy whatever item you need for whichever dungeon you're going to, and you can do them in basically any order. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they're especially with the mechanics of this game and how open it is, if they're doing that again, where you can do basically every dungeon in any particular order.
I freaked out because I had my OBS open. Even I'm not using OBS to stream. I'm using StreamYard.
Right.
But on OBS, when I get like a super chat, what's his face, Beetle, says thank you, and so I was very confused for like 20 seconds. I was like, why can I hear Beetle? Because this option shouldn't be available, but it is. But it wasn't. I don't think you guys heard it at all.
No.
Yeah. Okay, I sorted it out. Yeah, sorry. I was just confused. But I really do like the mechanics that they've brought in so far, and I do definitely think that there's going to be more. I don't want to like predict that there's going to be more mechanics on the levels of the echoes and bind, but there could be. It's not out of the question. It's interesting that each of these buttons pertain to X and Y. And I mean, there are 4 shoulder buttons, right? A and B, I'm not sure what those buttons are being used for. I imagine A is just like a contextual button, right? Maybe B is to jump or run, or maybe that's to one of the shoulder buttons. But there's still plenty of buttons there, right? Like conceivably, they could map other abilities like bind, like the echo, to other face buttons or shoulder buttons, and so there could be more just in the UI as we progress. That is possible.
Right. I am curious because the D-pad is shown on the screen, but it only contains the staff if you press the right D-pad. So I'm curious, like, what other things can she use other than the staff, and why?
That's still a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. I basically, with this trailer, I kind of get the sense that this game is a lot bigger than we were giving
it seems
credit
big.
for.
I mean, there's side quests with the whole like typically in 2D Zelda, you just have to remember what you were doing. You don't get like a quest log and stuff typically.
Right. You have a main quest log and a side quest log. Like it's very a lot of things from Breath and Tears. A lot of similar UI components as well. I don't know if
there's side quests that you can just encounter out in the world.
Yeah. Like the map of this game is actually pretty sizable. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah.
Let me share it with you guys here. I saw on Twitter someone had added me. Oh, I didn't like it. It's probably in my notifications. No, I liked it. I liked it. I had to. Maybe I guess I didn't have. Okay, there it is. The picture wasn't there. So let me share this with you guys. This is kind of crazy. So, okay. All right. So Nintendo Prime tweeted this, right? This is can you see the whole map, or is it being cut off?
I can see the whole image, I think.
Okay. Yes, you can. Okay, cool. All right. So this is a frame from the trailer, right?
Right. This is
And
when they're showing off the warp points.
yeah, it was showing off the warp points, correct. And you can see this. So this is not the whole map of the game,
No.
right?
This is just
Thi-
one area.
Yeah. One person thought, or someone thought, that maybe this right here is Hyrule Castle, but
Mm.
it's not. It's
Mm.
not. It's. I'm gonna prove it in a moment here. One, you can kind of tell that it doesn't even look like a castle from
Yeah.
here if you pay attention. But just look at the surrounding areas, right? Like here is the desert, right? You see like a slope here. You can see the rock with the little weird protrusion there.
Right.
And then we see this new area, the southern.
Southern.
That's kind of a. I just realized the play. I want to say Soothorn. So I guess
Yeah,
maybe
me
it is
too.
pronounced
Then you
Soothorn.
said southern, and I was like, oh yeah, that's probably what it is.
It's literally the southernmost area. But anyways, like, so this is new. This is like a new kind of area to like Hyrule in general. We've never seen this before.
I like that. I like that.
If you look over here beyond this mountainous wall, you can see the tropical trees from the Faron region. But there's even like this heart-shaped pond. It looks like.
Oh,
So let me exit this here real quick, and then so there's this other thing they overlaid the map, right? And so yeah, Hyrule Castle's here. I think there's actually a pretty fair representation of where it goes.
yeah, it seems
And
to
so
line up.
that's pretty. It's pretty big.
That's big. Yeah.
Like this brown area here is one big section in A Link to the Past, and all this stuff here just did not exist in it. So it's like they kind of took A Link to the Past and they just filled in a whole bunch of other new areas around it.
I would say compared
it's a lot
to
bigger.
like a Link Between Worlds open world, this looks like it's at least like 4 times as big as that. It's been a while since I played the game, but so I can't give you an exact amount. But
I don't remember the map in A Link
judging
Between
off
Worlds.
back how big I remember it being.
Let's
I would
remind
say this is
ourselves
at
there is
least
also
4
low
times
rule
big.
though, right? There may not be
True.
a low roll in this game, although there are rifts, which
Right.
so there might be something like it. I do have the sense that this map is considerably bigger than any other prior 2D Zelda.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty insane. Anyway, to provide proof that this is like the same area, hold on. I don't think it's clear in this thread here, but shout outs to Nintendo Prime Gauge Boss and also Pablo for adding me. But let me see if I can put together. I mean, I have my editor here. I think I could probably pull up a better image of the map. It's right in the beginning, right? There we go. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up. All right, that's probably pretty clear. Okay. One moment. All right, this is probably okay. It's not amazing, but you probably see the map a little bit better here. So remember that area, right, that was in the corner? If you look here, you can see that that's what it is, right? It's subtle.
You see the pillar. You see the I think 3 buildings.
You can see that little archway right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if this makes it. I'm enhancing it.
Enhance.
But that's it right there, right? That's that same area.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely the same.
yeah, the map is huge. This is still too zoomed in, but and there might be. I want to assume there's nothing else beyond this border. But yeah, the map's definitely bigger. I want to say it's 2 to 3 times bigger than most 2D Zelda maps. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can maybe argue 4, but I'm trying to be a little conservative. If you account for all the risks and stuff, I think there's going to be a lot to explore.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good.
I have to go back and look at the map to give any. That's just kind of like a very rough figure.
Yeah.
But we'll see how big it is.
It might be fun to try and actually come up with a calculation.
I'm sure somebody will be able to do that. But if we can do it before the game comes out, that'd be interesting.
We might have enough
Um,
evidence to put together a rough number.
perhaps.
I don't have the brain power now. It's been a long day. I've been up since like 4:30 a.m.
But also, it's like it's not like I need it to be the biggest game ever. I feel like a lot of, I'm not necessarily Nintendo, though. Maybe you could argue this with Tears of the Kingdom in a little bit of a way. But AAA developers tend to make their games just way too big for no reason,
Sometimes
and
it's
then it just ends up
overwhelming.
feeling like, yeah, either overwhelming or there's just not enough to do in the world, or they don't make it fun enough to just move around the world, so you're just kind of bored.
Yeah, I
Getting
either
one place
don't
to
have the
another.
time or the attention span to fully invest myself enough into a game to see everything it has to offer.
Right.
In that way. Now, it depends on the kind of game. Listen, I love adventure games, but I don't 100% all of them, you know?
No. In fact, I
There's
feel like most AAA games these days feel like they're meant to not be 100%ed. Like you get
yeah,
punished if you 100% them. It's
yeah.
just like a grueling thing to do.
It depends, and then it's kind of like, an argument why that not every game needs to be a giant open world. Like you look at like 3D
Yeah.
Mario. I love 100%ing 3D Mario games, but if the next
Yeah.
Mario game is open world and it's a massive, massive open world, and there's just a whole bunch of random coins in every waking location, like Korok seeds,
Oh god.
I might not 100% it then. Although I do have a history of 100%ing every 3D Mario, so
Oh.
I might not want to break the tradition. Although there is a 3D Mario, I've 100% of Mario 64. I have not 100% of Mario Sunshine because the blue coins are kind of hard to keep track of. But I kind of it's on my to-do list. Galaxy, yes. Galaxy 2, yes. 3D Land, yes. 3D World, yes. Bowser's Fury, also yes, and Mario Odyssey, also yes. So the only one I'm missing is Mario Sunshine. Those blue coins are a real naughty word. They're a real naughty word. It starts with B. Yeah.
I have not 100%ed any of the 3D Mario games or any.
For the
Mario.
record, I can't.
I am
curse.
pretty
I
close.
just didn't feel like it in that moment.
I am actually surprisingly close to 100%ing Mario Wonder. I only have a few levels left, and then the secret, and then like a few. I have done some of the Star World.
Weren't we playing it together? I think we were, and then
we were.
We took a
for
break,
little
and then I went and 100%ed it in like a weekend, and
yeah.
That's what happened.
But that would be my first Mario game I've ever 100%ed. I don't usually 100% games unless there's other games.
But some of those final levels are really fun.
Still hard.
You get rewarded for 100%ing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
the
cool.
secret levels are good.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the Echoes of Wisdom, though, right? You're just kind of talking about like not every game needs to be this massive open world. But Echoes of Wisdom does look bigger than most 2D Zeldas, and there are some cool things. Like I'm glad that they brought back the heart pieces. I think now there's something about the heart pieces now that's more interesting to me. Maybe in part it's because
I've always loved
they've been gone for a while. But also in the past, the Zelda games were so easy. I didn't want to collect them to make the game easier. I would be avoiding. I play the game and I don't pick up the heart containers when I beat the bosses. So yeah,
I don't do that.
Well, I mean, Breath and Tears are not that easy. Where I have to like avoid health power-ups. Although I do tend to prioritize stamina. But still, eventually, I still get hearts, because I'm getting like 100%ed or, OHKO'd repeatedly by Lionels or just random bokoblins. But point is, though, is that with more recent Zelda entries, I think they've done a better job of difficulty balance. And so I think I'll probably feel a little bit more compelled to pick up heart containers in Echoes of Wisdom, fingers crossed. Right. But something else that kind of occurs to me, though, is that exploration is where the more recent Zelda games truly thrive. They give you a lot more explorative options. And just seeing the gameplay where Zelda's like using the beds to build a bridge to get to the heart container, like that's gonna be fun to me. Coming up with unique ways to get to the heart containers, like, or the heart pieces. So I'm excited to see that. I think that's gonna be a good time.
I mean, I would argue that all the 2D Zelda games are very fun to collect all the heart pieces. That was mainly what I would do. Like if I got if I had 20 hearts, then I would be like, okay, this is 100% in my book. Like I've done everything I need to do, and basically that what did mean you had 100% most of the time. There's a few other things you could do, but no, I thought it was always really fun. I am interested to see how these side quests and things are. I think some of them seem very like contextualized. Like they don't seem like they're just very basic quests that you just kind of throw away. You don't really care about. Like they seem to have like lore implications and story implications and nice little things. So I'm curious to see how fleshed out those actually are in the full game compared to how they seem in the trailer.
Let me point them out because I don't remember them, but I have it here. So this is a side quest, finding the flying plant. An elderly man from I think it's Soothorn or Soothorn. You know, I know it's obviously a play on Southern, but I don't think you're pronouncing
Maybe it's
Southern.
Southorn. Southern. I don't know. I don't think it's Southern, but I think it's
Soothorn.
When you say it fast, I think it is supposed to sound like Southern, maybe.
Southorn Village.
Southern Village.
It's all
Southern,
about where you emphasize.
Yeah.
You know what? My initial instinct was Soothorn. I'm sticking with that, even if it's wrong. An elderly man from Soothorn Village, it doesn't sound terrible, is hoping to cheer up his wife with a flying plant. He last saw it near some caves deep in Soothorn Forest. So this seems like a fun one. Like you're looking for an interesting flying plant. Okay, I can dig that. Here, there's another one. Okay, this might sound a little odd, but do you believe in tornado ghosts? Okay. That's just interesting. My brother said he'd do the glider ride with me, but now he won't play at all. That sounds like a mini game.
Ooh, glider ride. Mini
Actually,
sounds fun.
On the website, I'll show that in a bit, but I think there is a glider game. I mean, there 100% is. This is a main quest, Ancestors Cave of Rest Rift. The torches at the grave site inside the Ancestors Cave of Rest have gone out, but the rift is blocking the path. The Gerudo soldier doesn't know how to access the torches to relight them. Okay.
Yeah, it is interesting that there's 3 main quests that they have. So it definitely seems like maybe you don't have to do everything in a particular order.
No, I don't think so.
Although both of these are in the Gerudo Desert.
I think just in this playthrough, they decided to go south.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I mean, yeah, I'd be surprised if it was way more linear than Link Between Worlds.
Yeah.
Which was a very open game.
Actually, let me show you.
It was basically open world 2D Zelda back in the day.
Yeah, Link Between Worlds is pretty open. Let me see here. I'll get to the chat in a moment. Oh, well, that's simple. I'm just looking for the website link because it has a pretty cool piece of imagery. Okay. Oh,
I don't think I've seen it.
You didn't watch my trailer analysis. How dare you?
I tend to not watch trailer analysis because I like to be
I unfriend you. I unfriend you. All right. So do you see this right here?
Yes. I have seen this.
So
I've not seen this
expanded, right?
Yeah.
Well, so like the key art before was cut off like right here. You couldn't see the windmill, I don't think, and you couldn't see this wall really. Like this was cut off. So it's kind of neat that that's now visible. But
that snake dude was not visible before. He's not a new enemy, but he is. Look at him, dorky.
Right there, it's fun. But I think this guy is probably what that Gorm was referring to in terms of the glider game.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's pretty likely.
I don't know why he looks like a... To me, he looks like a mailman. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know why I'm getting mailman vibes from him. I just want...
Well,
I don't know. When I first saw him, I was like, oh, he's the mailman. But now I'm looking at him more, I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I
But for
mean,
some reason, yeah,
I don't see a
that would
mailbag.
be funny. No, no, no.
He could be. It's not out of the
I am
question.
wondering what his getup is, though.
He's definitely using a glider though. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
actually, I'm very curious how like glider would play. Like how like visually how is it
Mm,
going to look when we're that much higher up? Like, is it like
I
the
imagine it's more.
perspective?
Yeah, I wonder if they go for a more top down or if they go for a more wide look over the
I don't
world.
know because there's a lot of moments in this game where the camera angle shifts to see the environment in a different way. Like this, even though it's a 2D Zelda game, it's a 3D world.
Right.
Just a simple 3D world, but still, like it's a cool, beautiful world. And so yeah, I'm very curious how it's going to be handled,
I'm
but
just curious because obviously the game, I imagine the game has a lot of tricks for
yeah.
render non or not rendering things that are on screen necessarily because of
Mhm.
their camera angle is more fixed than a full 3D game, so they can do stuff. So I'm just curious, like what kind of perspective they can pull off versus like with a full with like what kind of draw distance and what kind of performance they get with that.
Yeah. I've heard complaints about like the frame rate already of this game.
Yeah, this trailer again,
It,
it's
it looks
just
like they're
near
using the
constant
exact
frame
same.
drops.
What is that term, like VSync buffer or something
Double
like that?
buffered VSync.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
basically like
double.
it's either
Yeah,
60 or 30. Like there's no in
yeah.
betweens.
Basically,
Maybe they'll whatever they do, they find a way to keep it at 60 um
I hope so.
later. We'll see.
Just
But
use
this
triple
game's probably
buffer.
going to be more intense than Link's Awakening because of all the
Yeah,
different things you can do with the physics.
yeah.
I mean, at the end of
And
the
the
day, this
world's
is a,
much
this is a 2D
bigger.
game. Like whatever they're doing, like there should definitely be a way to get it to
Yeah, it's all
be
about your
fine.
like
Optimization
60 FPS for
stuff.
any game is just it's about designing the game with 60 FPS in mind. Like
Yeah,
I mean, we've had 60 FPS games since the NES. It's just about designing with the restraints of whatever hardware you're using in order to get to 60 FPS.
yeah. Anyway, I'm still on the website here. It looks like they're gonna give us more trailers. One for the story, one for whatever wisdom is, and one for the
Uh,
world.
okay,
Um,
okay. I
yeah.
mean, that
So
makes sense because I was thinking we definitely need some more trailers.
yeah. So and what's curious is I could almost see them dropping like every 2 weeks because we're like what 6 weeks away
Okay.
basically. I think we are right. So they drop this on a Monday. 2 weeks later be the 19th. 2 weeks later be the second. 2 weeks later be the 16th, and the game drops in like 9 days after that. And so they might drop it over. Like conceivably, I think we're looking at less than a 2 week average between updates for Echoes of Wisdom.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's probably gonna be previews and stuff and an overview trailer that will drop on top of all this. Now, because of this, it doesn't seem like there's gonna be a Zelda Direct.
Yeah.
But also Nintendo has still dropped directs before when we didn't think we needed one, like for Mario Wonder. So I wouldn't say it's totally out of the question, but it's kind of the same difference, really. Like if we're gonna get 3 more 5-minute trailers, just like the one we got yesterday, it's the same difference. It's just spread
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And I
mean, it
almost
is
prefer it this
possible
way, just
that
because it kind of spreads the conversation out.
yeah. And I mean, I guess that these 3 trailers could come from a Zelda Direct, but I don't think they would announce them ahead of time if that was the case. So I
I don't
think
know.
this kind of does just deconfirm Zelda Direct for me at
I don't think
least.
it 100% deconfirms, but I think it does dramatically reduce the possibility.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
for
not
sure.
having high hopes.
But I also don't really care
Yeah, I
because
don't.
it's
Yeah,
the
at the same time,
same
yeah.
difference. It's the same kind of
It's still
information. We're gonna get a
15
lot
minutes
of
of
it.
content.
Yeah, I mean the trailers might be longer. Like this second trailer here was like almost 6 minutes. I'm rounding down.
Okay.
So we'll see. But we see a whole bunch of screenshots here. One that really stuck out to me. This is actually not the one that stuck out, but I'm still
The
I'd put it up there.
density of the environments is pretty impressive. I feel like there's
Yeah.
more stuff going on
Where's
in
the
some of
king?
these buildings and stuff than
Oh, this one's also
potentially in Link's
interesting.
Awakening.
Where's the king?
The king.
I'm waiting for the king. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's a cool beach area. Ooh, the king.
Okay.
Yes. Hello.
You guys can't see these images. Can you see? You can probably see it now. Purple bird.
What? Yep. Purple bird.
This is the
Purple
golem,
bird gets the
fully
purple
loaded
bird.
out. It's got like a weird bottom ball piece.
Yeah, that's probably the main thing you attack, I imagine.
And then here's a look at the king.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
I like
He
the
is
guard
cool.
design on the left. I feel like he's definitely not a generic NPC.
No, he's like the general or something, or the
Yeah.
main knight.
Curious who this lady is on the right. The
Is it a
advisor
lady?
to the king, maybe?
Oh, maybe
It's
it is a
hard to
lady.
tell.
It's definitely someone studious because they got the glasses, they
Yes.
got like the wizard's cloak or whatever it is. You know, they look like a studious person. They're even holding a book. Like that's
Okay.
totally the
Yeah.
archetype there. Like this guy here to the left, you can see he has strong, sturdy features, right? Like clearly there's two different archetypes here. You got the big but reliable, strong knight, and then you have the eccentric, studious
Right.
advisor. That's fine. And the king looks like such a nice old man.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like a cool dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Chill grandpa vibes.
Yeah. I think they show footage of the king. He's not just a woe is me person.
Oh god.
We'll see. There it is. Like the king, he
wow.
saves his daughter.
Brave
And
man.
then both of his companions,
Yep.
they jump to his side and they all fall in. Yeah. Oh, that dude's running. Oh man,
Was that in the trailer?
he would have
I don't
lost in Fortnite.
remember seeing
This king part,
Yeah.
no, was not in the
Okay.
trailer.
I
Yeah.
was like, I don't remember this.
And it also was interesting.
They
you
turned to
notice that-
stone.
Yeah, they turned to stone.
She does too, but it's just hard to tell.
They all do. Look at him.
Yeah,
See
yeah.
that? Yeah.
It's just very
Does
quick.
Link turned to stone though? He does not.
No.
Interestingly,
At least not that you can see.
but everyone else does. Yeah, I didn't realize that until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But anyways, that's most of the stuff for now. I want to get to the chat because there's some interesting questions that have been asked. Where is I really need to clean up these windows. All right, there we go. All right, let's see here. Okay. Rico Lee earlier added me. I'm hoping Echoes of Wisdom is closer to a happy medium between freedom and linearity, because I think it would suit this game and the future of the series than not. I that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I'm seeing a lot of open elements, but I also kind of have the sense that this game is not as open as Breath or Tears. But as we discussed earlier, with the bind mechanic, it looks like you unlock it a little bit later on into the game, though we're not totally certain yet. We shall see. I'm curious. Like I think in terms of you choosing what direction you want to go and what dungeons you get through, I kind of feel like that's probably going to be to your choosing, right? Or liking. But there may be some story stuff and some mechanic stuff that could be linear. So obviously we need more evidence, but I do kind of agree with you that something in between might be the best way to go about this. Let's see here. Kick It Smooth. That's me. Do you think Echoes of Wisdom has a shot at being the best 2D Zelda? Like
Sure.
I've seen some conversation people not liking that this is like a 2D Breath of the Wild. But I mean I like what they're doing. I like that they've introduced the horse. I like Bind. I like the echoes. These are all good things. They're all fun mechanics.
Yeah.
Introducing the side quest system just makes the game even more in depth. Like I
Easy to track for sure.
easy to track, yeah, but I guess I'm also making the assumption that there's a lot of quests to do compared to prior 2D Zelda
Right.
games. Is my point with that one. Like I like the thing they're doing. I see some people complain about the smoothies. I just think it's a fun, cute potion system. That's all
Yeah,
it
just
is.
like potions.
Like if
100%.
anything, they might have made me care about potions now because they're smoothies, I guess. And I like the personality of the Deku Scrubs actually. Like there's
Yeah.
some cool lore stuff that's going on with this too. Like the Deku Scrubs eat sweets now and they've returned, which is also just a cool thing. And they have all these unique
Oh yeah.
designs to them. Like I'm very, very into this. I like that they're adding the Soothorn Village, right? Like that's cool. Like they're adding
I
to Zelda
like
lore. So this is a
I
this is
like
a legit
that they
Zelda game.
have the River Zora and I think it's the Sea Zora.
Yes.
Both of them, and you can kind of see that there's they're not getting along. There's some
No.
kind of conflict, and that's definitely gonna be a major story beat. Gonna be a main
Yeah.
quest there.
Yeah. I actually feel like there was probably I get the sense that throughout Zelda history, the sea and River Zora just don't get along in general. Like
Yeah,
even
I mean, well, they're
going
just very different. I think that the River Zoras are the aggressive ones, right?
in prior games.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even seen River Zelda in a 3D Zelda. Unless
No.
Sidon's wife is a River Zora. We can't say
Yeah.
for certain, but she does look different than the other Zora because she's green.
She didn't come from there.
She's
Place.
she's from a different area, which is unspecified. So she might be a River Zora. Although what's
She does
weird
look more like a River Zora.
is that the Sea Zora, which is what I assume are the Zora in Breath of the Wild and Tears, aren't actually in the sea. They're
Yeah.
yeah.
They're up a river.
Yeah. So I don't know. Or they might be like, maybe they're more like an amalgamation of River and Sea Zora. Like maybe River and Sea Zora are how Zoras used to be in the past, but further down the timeline, they merge and they're kind of just more of a blend. Which maybe makes more sense in terms of how we sort of think about the Zoras in Breath and Tears, because some of them are sharks. Like they're not all, like normal fish people. Maybe that's what it is. Like there aren't River or Sea Zora in Breath and Tears. They're just Zora, but in the past they were blended. And maybe that's why the Zoras are fighting here, because it's supposed to show that there was this divide, but in the story of Echoes of Wisdom, you see them come together, and that perhaps implies that both sides will start to commune, and there's the implication that they'll start matching up with partners and have kids that are, and then the Zora races will blend like that.
Right.
That to me makes a lot of sense.
I can see that for sure.
That everything adds up if you look at it in that way, at least. AB James adds us. Brandon has to try to 100% Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. When that game drops, get all the Kong letters and puzzle pieces in each level. Now that is a huge challenge. I agree.
Not gonna happen.
I like 100% of Donkey Kong games. So I haven't done it to all of them, but they're also fun to do.
I mean, if it's anywhere near as hard as Tropical Freeze, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I mean, I would be able to do it, and I just don't have the patience.
If they had online co-op, if they added online co-op, we could do it together. Like that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Something tells me that they won't do that, but they should.
Probably not.
It's like such a simple feature too. Whatever. Anyway. Yeah. Continuing on, Netweed here says, hope Star Fox Returns. There's a lot on its way, but quite a few big IPs can still fill in the shrinking gaps. Only thing with 2025 is how big will Beyond Shadow be to other competing IPs. I don't really think about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and competition. I just think the game's going to be good, and it's going to reach a larger audience than any other prior Metroid. like in general with Nintendo games, I don't think we're thinking, man, I'm really worried about this and that. I guess with Metroid, because it's more of a Western feeling series, that there's more natural comparisons to other Western series, especially the sci-fi first-person shooter genre. But I don't know. I trust that the game's going to stand out, and in terms of other companies, well,
Yeah,
I don't know. Like
I,
Metroid's
I
not
would
that big of a
say,
series that I think other companies should be worried either.
yeah, and it's not like there's any games coming out that are pretty much anything like it. There's some with sort of similar themes, but not even really. There's not even really any games that are coming out with like the same exact sort of themes or the same sort of gameplay or really anything like that. Like I guess there's games coming out that are first person shooters that you go into space, but that's about as close as it comes to the
Yeah,
comparisons. They're nothing like each other to anything that's coming out today. Like maybe if Halo was coming out like it used to, you could make some more comparisons, but even that, like Halo's practically dead now. There's got
yeah.
Infinite, but nobody's playing it.
Also, the gameplay still is pretty different. Like,
Yeah, and the gameplay is very,
I
very
think it
different.
just depends on how they market it. Like, if they market Metroid as more of like a space exploration game, which is what it is, right? And they show off
Right.
these crazy giant boss fights, then people aren't gonna make as many comparisons, right? Because if you show gameplay that looks like a typical first person shooter, then that's what people will compare it to. And maybe based off the first trailer, I can see how you might sort of think that.
Right.
But there's still a lot to show off. And at the same time, though, they might want to kind of dip into that a little bit with online multiplayer. So there might be several
Right.
factors here, but I'm just not concerned. I think they're gonna make a great game. I think they're gonna market it really well, and it's gonna be fine. Looks like we got a couple super chats to get to. Ray Spence has been a member for 9 straight months. There's no sword to go grass farming. Drinks will be to replenish health. An interesting point.
And you could use other things, swords, to
Yeah,
farm
you could use
grass.
enemy swords, or you could
Yeah.
burn grass. I think though you'll be able to find other ways to cut grass. I did see that one of the accessories increases the rate of finding hearts. So
Okay.
there are other ways to find hearts,
Yeah.
but I still think it's a good point to bring up. Like you might not be able just to slash grass all willy nilly. You have to might
Don't
find
forget
other alternative
pots.
ways.
Don't forget
Yeah,
pots.
you
Pick up
still get
pots.
pots.
Throw 'em.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, also, if you can just rest yourself on a bed, I don't know.
Oh, does that heal you?
I think it does. I've seen some people say that they saw the hearts replenish. I didn't notice it
Huh.
in my analysis, but maybe I just kind of glossed over it. I'm actually glossing over the footage now, trying to see.
Figure out where that
Like, I
was.
don't see. Maybe it's in the first trailer where there's some evidence of that. Yeah, I don't. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, I don't see any point in the
Found
new
more.
trailer where I
Yeah,
even
you can
see
share
Zelda
with the
not have
chat.
anything more less than 5 hearts.
Okay.
So it's not
This
in
is
that
the only
one.
part of where I remember her even resting in a bed. You can't even see her health. It's covered up
Yeah,
by
that's blocked up. I
yeah.
think by design, because they don't want us to know yet. But also,
Maybe, but there's constantly something in that top corner, so
yeah,
it could just be a happenstance. Honestly, I think just resting on the bed is just some neat thing that you can do. It may not have any mechanic to it. Maybe just be like a nice little touch. Or maybe in certain places, if you sleep, there does different things, but not everywhere.
I
could see
think you
that.
can. There's multiple moments where they show her resting on a bed. I think there's purpose behind it. On the website, there's a scene where she's resting on the bed as well. I think it does heal your hearts, but I just don't have proof.
I feel like that'd be kind of overpowered though,
Maybe
because you can
maybe
just
you're
spawn
right.
it in at any time.
You can
and
do
then
it in Skyward
just
Sword
heal.
with. Well, I guess the difference is you can't spawn benches whenever you want.
Yeah.
I'm currently looking at the website to see if I can spot something. I know she does something with the bed where she just lays in it. on a green area. Oh, I found some parts where she has less life, but she doesn't use the beds to regenerate. I might as well share this with you guys, I guess, or not. I'm just trying to find the. Oh, wait. Oh, is that proof? Yep,
Do we
I
have
got,
proof?
I found proof,
Oh
guys. It's
my
on the website. Here, let me show you. Found it. It's on the website right here. Check it out. Look at her hearts regenerate. She has 2.5 hearts. Lays on the bed. But interestingly, it only
Okay.
goes up a half heart though, so they might limit how much
Yeah.
you can heal with it. Maybe it only lets you go
Okay.
up to
Or it
3.
just takes a really long time, maybe.
Either
Maybe the first
A,
part's quick, but then it just takes a while.
it's either it takes an extremely long time after the first half, or you can only go up to 3 with the bed.
Oh,
mean,
I
I-
could see that. I could see it going back to 3.
Like enough so you don't hear the beeping.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
I
might
mean,
be
it is a
a
pretty
nice.
comic mechanic in games to have like up section of your health bar that always regenerates to, and then you heal up past that.
Yeah. This makes the most sense. Yeah.
Okay.
And so
'Cause,
it's
yeah,
basically
that
the
would
point
be
you bring
pretty
up, though.
broken if you could just heal up super quickly by laying in a bed
Yeah.
anywhere.
Because it is a long time that we're waiting for nothing to happen.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there we go. There's our confirmation.
Cool.
Yeah. And going back to Kikismu's question, do I think Echoes of Wisdom has a shot at being the best 2D Zelda? The answer is yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure.
It's a new Zelda game, new mechanics, lots of things going into it. It seems to be the biggest Zelda game yet. There's a lot of
Right.
it's a lot of unique gameplay. I think it's gonna feel different than our Zeldas. Now, obviously, it always comes down to preference, right? There are some people that say Tears is the best Zelda game ever. Some people say Breath is the best
Yeah.
Zelda game ever. Some people think Breath and Tears are terrible. You know, like
I would say, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is definitely not my favorite Zelda game. I prefer Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. So I am curious if this will be my favorite 2D Zelda game, because I do love Link Between Worlds so much, and this is such a big departure from the core
yeah.
gameplay of typical 2D Zelda that I just don't know which one I'm going to prefer at
I
this point.
think the thing that will likely limit this from becoming my favorite 2D Zelda is the action. I'm not saying the action will be bad, but you know, there's just something about Link having a sword and shield and duking it out with bosses that's kind of epic. And while I think this is going to be cool in its own way, I think this game is going to be more about wit. And while I love the wit, I also like the, you know, just the epicness of a boss fight with a sword and shield. So
I'm
I don't know.
curious,
I'm not saying
though,
it can't be, but I just could kind of see how maybe I would prefer maybe like perhaps the Link Between Worlds or Minish Cap for that reason over this game. But we'll see.
we still don't know everything about the game, so it's possible maybe because we see that she has the staff that she can wield, but maybe there's a different thing that she can wield that's a bit more combat focused. Maybe not
Could be.
super powerful,
Maybe
and
it's
maybe
something
it's
she'll
not
unlock
good in
later
every
on.
situation. Maybe you still need your echoes for certain situations
I mean,
for combat.
she
But
seems pretty powerful though. The bind ability, she could just like grab enemies and knock them off a cliff, you know, pretty easily.
yeah,
Like it's what might be interesting is that while there may not be as much like combat where you feel like like it's you know like with Link where it's very like this is a duel, but Zelda might feel more like I'm just an ultra powerful wizard and I can do whatever I want, right? So there might be a little of that which may lead to the game feeling kind of easy, and you know how I feel about easy games. I don't like them.
I think it will be fun to experiment and see what you can do.
Yeah.
I don't think every solution will work for every problem. So I don't think the game will be so easy that you don't have to think about what you're doing. I think you'll still have to use your brain and solve puzzles and so I don't think the combat in particular will be like super duper challenging all the time. Maybe the bosses will be more so, but I don't imagine a 2D Zelda game being like way harder than they normally have
Yeah.
been.
I can see
So-
myself really enjoying the puzzles a lot more in this game, though. The thinking and the ability to just solve in different ways, like that part, I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna really enjoy a lot. So jury's still out on this one. I think Echoes has a chance. But there's another super chat that was provided earlier from Sam Talks Games. What's up, buddy? Thank you for the super chat. Sam here says, if we're placing bets, do you think they reveal Switch 2 in August, September, or October? And what does this mean for a Switch Direct next month? So I feel like I kind of feel like I've already put out my prediction. I think I technically predicted August, but I also fully acknowledge that some of that is just me wanting it to happen sooner. And
Right.
September and October are still very reasonable. Now, I do have some argument for August as opposed to September and October, and that's for the third parties. Supposedly, there's a lot more third parties involved. Gamescom's happening at the end of the month. Tokyo Game Show's in September. I think there is reason to put out at least the name now so we can start getting like third party announcements officially where they can be like, yeah, this is coming to Switch 2 or whatever it's called in trailers. But also Nintendo, like oftentimes, like, you know, Nintendo does what they want and third parties will just can figure it out afterwards, right?
Right.
It's not like they won't have time to still make announcements, you know, if they show it off in October as opposed to August. They will.
And I mean, it's interesting because there were developers who chose to announce projects for NX before, obviously, the Switch was revealed. So it's not necessarily like they can't obviously show the Switch 2 version, which maybe they would in general, but there is something that allows them to just say that it is going to be on this next generation Switch without saying what it's called. I mean that technically they could. I think that they're very much in their right to say that. Whether or not they would.
Well, Switch 2 is not the official name, right? So they could say successor to Switch,
right?
but it
They
doesn't
would
exactly
say,
roll off the tongue.
Yeah, which is why it's like curious if they would choose to do that or not. But technically, I mean, they could do that. They could just say
we do sometimes get the thing where they say something along the lines of, "Oh, this is coming to future Nintendo systems," right? Or Nintendo platforms, including the Switch. Like there sometimes we hear like the occasional subtle hint that there's a plan beyond Switch for some third-party games.
But they have announced that they're announcing the next generation console, so they could just say the next generation Nintendo console that's getting announced in this fiscal year.
They could,
if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not.
But
certain.
yeah, it is interesting. As far as the Direct goes, honestly, with how much stuff we're getting for Zelda, do we really need a Direct? Like, maybe they could do a few things to flesh out early next year or something?
I don't think Echoes of Wisdom was ever going to be a big part of the Direct because Echoes of Wisdom comes out September 26th. Like, if anything, it would just be like a reminder, hey, this is coming out, you know? Like, so I don't think Echoes of Wisdom news has really any impact on the need for a Direct, to be honest with you. But you know, we already know about Mario Party Jamboree. You know, we already know about Brothership. We already know about Donkey Kong in January, which is unusual. We don't normally have a January game release date in June. That is something that's out of the ordinary. And so that's kind of the factoid that I sort of stuck to when kind of debating if it makes sense for a typical Direct this September. Obviously, I'm accounting for the Switch 2 part of the part as well. Regardless, I think something's happening in September that isn't just Switch 2. I think there's going to be a partner showcase or something. I think there's going to be some kind of Direct
partner showcase
in September. Yeah,
I could see that. I mean, maybe they do. I mean, I definitely don't think they need a full Direct. I just don't know what they would talk about just for Switch 1. I guess they could re-mention things that's coming out this year, and then maybe announce another project for February or March or something, and then have mostly just third-party stuff other than that, and call it a direct mini.
I mean, I don't expect to see Metroid or Pokemon Legends EA in a direct this year.
Yeah.
I think Echoes of Wisdom will be in the direct, but we'll already know everything about it by that point, pretty much. There might be a final trailer that comes out in the beginning of September. I mean, if it's an early September direct, maybe there's more reason to kind of do it then. But beyond that, you just get another update on Brothership and Jamboree. And then they give us another trailer for Donkey Kong. Probably won't be a big trailer, but they'll give us one. Yeah. And they could announce the February and March games still.
Right.
Could be Kirby and Fire Emblem. But, and there'll still be third-party stuff. I don't... It would... To me, it would feel like direct mini kind of thing, unless they want to show off something else bigger. But I also kind of think that at some point, the bigger things kind of have to stop. I feel like with the June Direct, they did such a great job of having a fantastic showcase. I would prefer that the June Direct be the last Switch 1 focused Direct, because if they have another general Direct on Switch 1, I kind of have the sense that they won't really be able to have another great Direct again.
Right.
Like, yeah, they can announce things that are exciting in terms of some remasters we want, but I don't think there's going to be any new games that they're going to announce for Switch 1 by this point that we're going to be like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't think there's going to be any more Metroid Prime 4 or Echoes of Wisdom moments.
Right.
Maybe unless you really want another 2D Kirby game, right? Like, Fire Emblem is going to be a remake. I think it's going to be a good-looking remake, but it's going to be a remake. And as I said earlier, I think Prime and Pokemon are being saved for the Switch 2 window. So we'll see. They could definitely do a Direct. I just don't think it's going to be the best Direct ever. I'd rather they temper our expectations and be like, hey, it's a mini,
Yeah.
And a mini, you can still have Nintendo announcements. So maybe a mini is the best way to go about it. And you can still have those third-party announcements they need to have. And then we still have our Switch 2 teaser. Maybe the Switch 2 teaser is in September if we just have a Direct mini. But I mean, well, what are you thinking, Brandon, in terms of the Switch 2 reveal timing? I think last time we talked about this, you were kind of with me on August. But where do you stand now? Are you gonna be like, nope? Do you still feel August? Because some things have kind of occurred that give me some doubt.
It's hard for me to really feel strongly for any of the 3 months in particular. I guess if I had to say any of them, I don't think, or I think it's the least likely is probably for me September. So I feel like they could reveal it in August, and then they have Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show. Maybe have like a little bit of something to show off for Switch 1 in September, or they could show it off in October and have a Switch Mini Direct still in September. But I would find it odd to push those so close together in the same month.
I don't know if you knew this, but were you aware that when we go back to 2016, we had our Switch teaser in October, but they had an Animal Crossing Direct in November and a Fire Emblem Direct in January.
Yes, I did see your video where you talked about that.
Yeah. So, I think like when we kind of had this conversation about a Switch 2 teaser, like just because the Switch 2 teaser happens doesn't mean everything else Nintendo stops,
Right.
So there can still be different things going on, different game news for Switch 1. So I wouldn't say I think September is still a fine month, but I also kind of want to echo your sentiment though, like outside of what I mentioned, I don't think there is really much to tell us. Oh, it has to happen October, August, or September.
Right. That's why I'm just saying I'm like grasping at straws to even like pull a reason why September is the least likely one, because they all feel like they're basically the similar, like very equal chance.
I mean, maybe October should be considered the most likely just because that's what they did last time.
Before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that would if they care about this at all, but it would practically guarantee that they're nowhere near the PS5 Pro announcement, because that's going to be announced either this month or next month, pretty much 100%, just given
Yeah.
the fact that it's going to launch this year.
Yeah, my thing is that you're skipping Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show, right? So any sort of argument about wanting to do it before then, for the sake of third parties, that wouldn't be a thing. But otherwise, I mean, I guess they'd be fine. The
Yeah.
other consideration I have though is at some point I feel that they probably should announce a price drop, right?
Yeah.
Do they really want to go into the holidays with the stagnating sales without making some sort of big move to change that around? Like when's that going to
Yeah,
happen?
especially if they don't do a price drop and they do announce Switch 2 this year, because it's not guaranteed that they will. They could wait till next year. They have all the way till the end of March. So,
Yeah.
but if they don't do a price cut and they do announce it this year, that would definitely hurt their sales even more, because then
Yeah.
there'd be a definitive thing to look forward to buying and saving up for people, and instead of
Yeah.
getting the system.
By the way, I'm going to turn this into like the sales topic, I guess, because we're running out of time and we're kind of sort of touching on this stuff already. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking I might do like a deeper dive, like sales number stream later this week potentially. But off the top of my head, Switch sold 2.1 million this past quarter, and in comparison to last year, they had sold like 3.91, almost double, and so there's a huge drop off there. Do you think that's any cause for concern?
I mean, I did see your video on it, and I tend to agree with your points. Do you want to just give a concise version of that?
I was kind of hoping you would remind me what I said.
I think I'm just saying you probably know what you said better than I know.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers, but essentially, I don't think it's really that much of an issue that sales are trending downwards. Like, yeah, we're looking at like 80, like it depends on what we're looking at, right? But there's like 40-50% drop offs in a lot of different categories in terms of their financials for this quarter versus last quarter. But when you account for the fact that last year's Q1, right, they had the Mario movie, they had Tears of the Kingdom OLED, and they had Tears of the Kingdom, that created like a huge spike. That was the second biggest quarter of the year by a sizable margin. That's not the case this time around. They had Paper Mario and Endless Ocean, and Luigi's Mansion 2. But the point is, like, it wasn't anything as monumental as a Mario movie or a new 3D Zelda we've been waiting 6 years for.
And we saw like Zelda. I believe the sales for Tears of the Kingdom alone are more than all of the sales numbers for
that quarter. Yeah, the sell-through of Tears of the Kingdom was more significant last quarter than all the total software sales of Nintendo games this quarter.
Right.
So, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom alone beats everything.
And if you look at the categories of which system sold, obviously the OLED always sells the best, but the difference in the amount of OLEDs sold this time last year versus this quarter this year is way bigger than the difference between the amount of normal Switches sold. So you can definitely see how big that OLED bump was. Like it's significant, the increase in OLEDs compared to the increase in just regular Switches last quarter.
Yeah. So when we account for that, also the fact that this is another year of declining sales, this is the fourth year of declining sales, right? Every year, the potential is trending downwards. Things are still pretty good for considering how late we are into a generation, but there hasn't been any price drops. It's late into the generation. You don't have anything like a Mario movie or a Tears of the Kingdom to really boost sales. So
Right.
what we're seeing is, yeah, there's going to be some significant drop-offs. And I don't think it's any real cause for concern because it's still relatively healthy. It just looks worse when compared to
Yeah.
that peak from last year, but it is still a downward trend. And I do think it suggests that if Nintendo wants to hit their forecast of 13.5 million, they're gonna have to do something crazy because right now their first quarter they sold 2.1. I recognize that the holiday quarter is going to be big, but even if the holiday quarter is triple of what this quarter is, that's still not going to really pace them to get there, right? They're going to have to pick things up quick.
Right.
And Echoes of Wisdom is going to be a big deal, but I don't think that Echoes of Wisdom Switch Lite is going to really get them that much closer. It
No.
might help a little, but it's not even an OLED, right?
Right.
As you mentioned, OLED is the best-selling SKU. Switch Lite is the worst of the Switch
Yeah.
family. So I don't really think that it's going to turn things around totally. They need to do something. I think a price drop is kind of the only thing that would really turn sales around enough to where I feel like they could hit that forecast. So maybe there's something else, but I don't know what else it would be.
I don't know either. I don't see them coming out with any games bigger than what they already have. Just out of the blue for this year.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. They would have already announced them.
Yeah, I don't even listen. Like, yeah, I don't even think if they had Pokemon Legends ZA coming out in March and Metroid Prime 4 in February, that would be enough. I mean, that'd be pretty good. But first off, I don't think that's going to happen. I think those are coming out in the Switch 2 window. But even if they did, I still don't think that's going to be enough to really push sales to the point where they're hit 13.5. Maybe that in conjunction with a price drop, but I think they need a price drop to hit that goal.
Yeah.
So,
I will say the sales numbers kind of told me, I do feel, because obviously, we used to think, and there was, a lot of reason to think this, a lot of rumors, a lot of leaks that the Switch was going to come out this year, right? Sometime this year. And when you look at these sales numbers, I feel like this is the first time it's like, oh, yeah, I feel like the Switch 2 really needs to come out like ASAP, preferably, because it's not great, especially when you consider it's lower than the previous last quarter, which is usually by far the lowest quarter in a year. It's kind of like, ooh, I really feel like Nintendo did want to get the Switch 2 out this year.
Yeah, but there's also been talk that they wouldn't have wanted it out for this holiday because of the value of the yen. And right now, based off where things are at, that seems like it may have been a good idea. That said,
Is it
March
gonna change between then and March?
Hopefully.
It's not a long time.
I don't know, or maybe they wait longer. I don't know.
I feel like also you can't just be like, well, we're not going to make as much profit in this one region as we could have, so therefore we're going to delay the console to where we're going to be in a worse position to get up because people aren't we've let the hype kind of die out and we've waited a little bit too long.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't, you put yourself in a worse and worse position the longer you wait. And if it's
so
over
long.
just a little bit of profit margins in one region, I feel like that can't be a reason for them to delay it that long. If any time.
Yeah.
Like it could be part of a reason or it could be something that's nice to have happened. But I don't think that they would just be like, this is the biggest reason or the sole reason why we're going to delay a console. I don't think that they would do that ever.
The other interesting angle to point out here is that they have not announced another mid-gen refresh. They were doing them. Well, I mean, technically they did it in 2019 and 2021. 2023 would have followed the pattern, and they didn't do it then. and they haven't done it. Excuse me. Sorry.
But
They haven't done it this year either, and typically they announce them around like July. So we're now in August, right? So it doesn't seem like they're going to announce another mid-gen refresh. Now they still could. They could have quick turnarounds with these things potentially, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen this year either, right? So that's another thing that they maybe could have done to help boost sales, and that doesn't seem to be the case.
Right.
Now maybe they put out a mid-gen refresh for early next year to close out the fiscal year, right? Maybe that's another part of their plan, you know. Now if Switch was coming out March, I don't think they'll do that, right? I think they would
Right.
probably space it out by a few months. So yeah, I mean, you know, I think we're both on the same page. We kind of think either A, they're not going to hit their forecast, or they're going to have a price drop. Like it's kind of what it is. Something else I'll bring up, it's just a little thing, but Breath of the Wild is outpacing Tears of the Kingdom sales. Not by a lot, but it is.
I heard about that.
Yeah. However, Tears of the Kingdom is gaining ground on Super Mario Party. If things continue in less than a year or close to it, Tears of the Kingdom will pass Super Mario Party in the overall top selling games. So that's something.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the chat. So there was a question I saw earlier that was related to Echoes of Wisdom that I wanted to get to, but I didn't. It's actually quite a few things. Let me see here. I'm trying to find this one. Oh, there we go. All right. Guy you don't know earlier had added me. Was the Pharaon region first introduced in Breath of the Wild or in an earlier game? Well, we had the Pharaon region in Twilight Princess.
Yeah, Farron Woods.
Was it?
Is it
before?
Woods?
I wouldn't. Forest.
Forest. Farron's.
When's its first appearance though?
I don't
maybe
recall
not.
there being a Pharaon region in
Maybe-
Wind Waker
Maybe.
or Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask.
Maybe it's not.
Maybe the 2D games.
Is there? Maybe it's a slightly different name.
I thought there was a Pharaon. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm trying to look it up, but
Just looking up Twilight Princess areas in general.
I thought Pharaon was in Twilight Princess, but maybe not.
Pharaon Grasslands, a
Is
region south of Highland Stable containing the Horse God Bridge and Lake.
that is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, why? Yes, the AI. Don't listen to AI. They don't know what they're talking about.
Well, there's Ordon. Hold on, I'm looking at a map now. Maybe it was introduced. I that feels like some revisionist history or something. No, I'm looking at a Twilight Princess map right now. It says Pharaon Woods.
Yeah, I knew they called it the Pharaon Woods.
Yeah, it's right
I
there.
was like, I'm pretty sure it's woods.
but
Put it up on screen. Put it on screen.
I'm trying. But
Yeah, I don't.
there it is.
Don't trust AI, friends. They
Pharaoh
lead you
Woods.
astray.
Right there. But is this even?
The Google
I'm not even-
AI was just confidently telling me the Pharaon Grasslands was in Twilight Princess. It's like, yeah, definitely Twilight Princess. But yeah, yeah.
I don't know if
That's,
that's the first
yeah.
appearance though. I can't. Nothing else. Google's not telling me much. To the Skyward Sword as well, but that's beforehand.
Right.
So maybe it is Twilight Princess. All right. I wonder if it's maybe in also. I haven't played Oracle of Ages and Seasons. I know I need to. There's a lot of things in those games apparently.
You say that like everybody's played Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and you're just the only one.
I'm
Just
a-
like, I have to. I'm sorry, guys.
I
It's
just
a
feel like
great crime against
I just
humanity
feel
that I
like
haven't
as a hardcore
played.
Zelda fan, it's hard. It's kind of shameful that I haven't, but I
I
will.
mean, that's fair. I haven't either, and it's
Yeah, they're on NSO, so they're there. I'm working on Elden Ring right now.
Ah.
Yeah, and I still haven't. I'm bad. I've forgotten about Paper Mario. I need to go back to that one.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so earliest is at least Twilight Princess, but if you guys can think of another game it was in, let me know. Regal Lee adds me. I'm expecting this game's dungeons to be closer to shrines because of Zelda's new abilities to make them consistent with 3D Zelda 2, and I'd be fine with that myself. We have all the rifts. I feel like the rifts are definitely going to be kind of like very similar to the shrines in a sense.
Right.
I don't know if I want to go so far as saying that there's not going to be any kind of like dungeons.
I think there
Um,
will. I don't
yeah.
think there, because I mean, one of the biggest complaints of Breath of the Wild was that they weren't traditional dungeons, and they did prioritize that, at least not as much as I hoped, but they did
there is
make
more.
4 big
Yeah.
dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom that felt like actual dungeons, and for them to just be like, you know what, we're gonna do the same thing that people complained about last time, and only do like shrines and maybe some like
Yeah.
bigger shrines that are kind of dungeons but not really. Like why would they make the same mistake twice?
I also feel like we've already seen some subtle evidence of dungeons in Echoes of Wisdom. Couple things. In the first trailer, I'm trying to skim through real here. I'll just show you guys again. If we go back to the first trailer. Okay. I remember, I think. All right, so there's this right here.
Yes.
This is a big lake, right? And this reminds me of a dungeon from 2D
There's a
Zelda.
warp point right next to it.
There's a exactly good point. Like it feels like
I know what
something
those were
important.
before.
It might not be a dungeon because there's not much. There's not really any symbols or statues or anything. Like there's not much celebration there.
It feels
But
like a dungeon you would come across in like Zelda 1.
Exactly. But actually over here as well, there's looks like there's a dungeon potentially right over here.
Okay.
This has like owl statues, and there's clearly an opening there.
Yeah, that looks like it definitely probably is a dungeon.
So that I think that this is
yeah.
another
That reminds
one that
me
feels
of
very dungeony, if not more so than the one in the water here.
That reminds me of areas we've seen, like a Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds, where there was a dungeon set up very similar to this look.
Mm-hmm. And then in this trailer here, there is this part on the lake, which I point out in my trailer analysis. Getting to it. Couple things. So this, if you notice here, these like flower-looking symbols, it looks very much. It looks like the water medallion from Ocarina of Time. And then this is the Zora symbol here. And this could be the water temple. Might just be a Zora domain, right? But if you look at the map here, you'll notice a couple interesting things. Man, where was
it
this?
Looks like there's a house symbol on the mini map.
Yeah, it might deconfirm that it's a dungeon, actually.
It might just be somebody's house.
Might be someone's house. Yeah, that's where the hole's at. But it seems to be important because there is like a fast travel point here.
Yeah.
And if you look at this looks to be like a fish, and you can kind of see it in the actual footage.
Yeah, it seems like the house.
Like
it comes up like that's part of the house, I think.
I think this entrance is a Zora house. Maybe. Yeah. It may not be a dungeon, but it's possibly a dungeon. But I think when you account for the house symbol, I'm leaning towards no longer dungeon, but it seems to be important because we have another fast travel point here, and there's a big fish statue, which is definitely representative of something important and watery. I was gonna say fishy, but I just did.
In my head, that this is like house, and then the fish is like a part of the house that comes up out of the water, but it's hard to tell if it's connected or not. But it would be a weird shaped house if it just fit the shape of that island.
Yeah. They might also
Very
intentionally
thin
not be
house.
showing any dungeon areas yet.
That's definitely
oh,
just a chief's house.
yeah, and actually it shows the same house symbol here.
Mm.
So
Yeah, it could be an important
yeah, just
elder Zora or somebody who lives there.
see this though feels like could maybe be a lead up to a dungeon, but also could just be a lead up to like the king's
I love all like
room.
the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Yeah, like
kinda
this area feels
characters
very
and
Majora's Mask,
Yeah.
swamp vibes. Yeah, love that. I'm trying to find like
They're
another
eating
hint.
spider web cotton candy.
Looks like they're in a cave here, maybe. Another's
Ancestors Cave of Rest Rift. That seems
Yeah.
like they're in the Ancestors Cave of Rest, I would assume, and then
Yeah.
this is the Rift.
maybe
Here,
the Cave of Rest is a dungeon.
perhaps.
Maybe, but also maybe not. I'm just trying to find any other dungeon evidence real quick here. I don't think I see anything. No.
To be
But
fair,
there's-
it would be pretty easy for them to not show the
Show it.
dungeon areas.
Right. I mean, we were debating dungeons for a very long time in Tears.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think there's pretty good chance that there's still dungeons though. Honestly, the first trailer I think was better evidence for dungeons than what we just talked about for the second trailer. Yeah. We got the super chat here from Taker610. Thank you for the super chat, Taker. Taker asks, do you think we'll see multiple SKUs and price points in the next gen? I'd like to see them do a home console as a top performance option. In terms of what I think, I don't think they're going to do a dedicated home console.
No. I can guarantee 99.999% confidence that they're not going to do something like that.
Yeah,
Like a SKU that's radically different, like in essence of what it is and how it functions.
I mean, it would be like an anti-Switch Lite.
It would, well, to do the kind of thing he's talking about, it would probably be just completely different hardware. Like it wouldn't be the same thing at all. And that means different development environments and different hassle. Your marketing is completely different. It would essentially be two different consoles. Like you can't have a home console
It's kind of
variant
like, what's the
that
point?
is the you can't have a home console variant that is much more performant than the normal home console docked experience without a completely different
I mean, I guess
actual
you
hardware.
could,
So at that
you
point,
could-
you're just releasing two systems that are completely different.
What if
systems.
what if you just take the chipset with some minor customizations, don't put a screen, just put it in a box? Like,
I
you
mean,
could.
if you just want to sell it as like a cheaper version, maybe that only does home console. But if you want to
Yeah.
actually do it as like, but he's saying like he wants a home console because it's going to be a top performance option.
I mean, you might be able to. Yeah.
Like realistically, you're not going to be able to get much better performance, even if you had dedicated cooling or anything like that. There's no way you're going to get better, like significantly better performance without actually different hardware. And at that point, you're just releasing two different systems.
I mean,
And that's never gonna
you
happen.
could do us one that's slightly better. You know, it could just be like something
Yeah.
that has a higher clock speed or something.
Yeah, it could be slight. Maybe it clocks up a little bit, but I mean, realistically, unless maybe you would see slightly higher resolutions, but it would be basically not noticeable in any game that has
Yeah.
dynamic resolution scaling. You
Something
might
like
see a
this,
couple more FPS in certain games. It's not really a feasible option that's like compelling.
I do think the best sell of it would be just being cheaper, right?
Yeah.
But also at that point, like this wouldn't be something that would come out at launch, I don't think. Right? It would be years into the gen, and at that point might as well just do a Switch 2 Pro or something.
Yeah, and I feel like even though the Switch 2 is going to be a lot more powerful and it's going to be closer to the kind of what we expect from modern consoles, it's still going to be in essence a handheld console with handheld hardware. So even if you have it in a dedicated box, it's like when you have just this Switch Lite, it is one of the most, or at least before all these modern Windows machines started coming out, like the Steam Deck, it was the most powerful handheld on the market. Like you got all these great Nintendo games that looked awesome for a handheld. It was super duper powerful at the time.
Yeah.
When you have just the dedicated home console, then it's just a weak box that doesn't have as much functionality as you would like. But it plays Nintendo games, which is great. And obviously that would be big. And I guess if you don't ever want to go on the go, it would be niche essentially. I feel like
I
it
would-
would be even more niche than the Switch Lite
Yeah,
is.
I would
It's
prefer.
already a niche product.
I would prefer that if we're going to talk about like alternative like versions, don't do like just a Switch 2 in a box that doesn't have a tablet, right? You just take the chip and put it in a box. I would prefer that instead of putting it in a box, they put it inside a ROB, right? And you can control the
Yes.
ROB around the room with an alternative controller while still being able to play the
Right,
games
right.
on the TV. Like that
Yeah.
to me would be a cool novelty, and
But-
probably wouldn't sell that much, but it would be fun for me alone.
But
Not for me alone,
realistically,
but, you know.
the kind of SKUs I could see is maybe a digital only SKU or something, or a SKU that has more memory and is more expensive because it has double the internal storage or something like that. I feel like storage is going to be a much bigger deal on Switch 2 because the games are going to be a lot bigger. I would expect games to be several times bigger on average than they
Can you
are
envision a $500 SKU at launch?
now. I mean,
Well,
it would be price competitive with the current gen consoles. So
Let's assume a $399 SKU is
right.
the absolute must, right? But
Yeah.
there is also a second $499 SKU USD, right, for non-United State watchers.
I think it would be more likely they would do 450 because I'm not sure
So
what they
for
would
just
add that
50
would
more
be
dollars?
$100 more.
I listen. Nintendo's done it before. Done it multiple times. I kind of hate the $50 price gap because at that point, if it's just $50, get the better version. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't have a Switch and I have to choose between a Switch and an OLED, and there's only a $50 difference, get the OLED. You know?
It depends on
Right.
what the difference is. I imagine mainly the difference will be like just storage size. So like if you think you need a bigger internal storage,
Actually,
or not,
you know what?
because you can just micro SD card, or well, we don't know what storage solutions they're going to
That's a good
allow,
point.
but there will be storage expanding solutions available, I would assume, still. So you may not feel you need to pay the extra $50 for that
Like
SKU.
if
at
I can
launch.
get like a terabyte like micro SD card for like $30 or something, that might be better than spending extra 50 to have another 256 gigabytes or something.
Right.
Now that 256 gigabytes will probably be faster,
Yeah.
but I also haven't had any issues with loading things for my micro SD card, so I probably won't really feel like it's that big a deal.
I do think games are going to be, as I said, several times bigger, which means the things that they need to load will be several times more information. So I am concerned about the longevity of micro SD cards for Switch 2 in general, but I assume there will be some sort of storage expansion solution that they will have.
Whatever it is.
It may even be just SSD. Maybe you can just take a little port off the back and plug another SSD in there. They have smaller SSDs. Maybe they use like half-size ones. Because I do think SSD technology will be in the
it'd be cool if they
the storage
designed the
solution
Switch
Switch
2
2.
where like they just have like a little plastic slot, kind of maybe behind the notch where you're just like, oh, they got this little stick, plop it in there.
I would assume it'd be like a little cover on the back you could pop off because
Yeah.
it would need to be a pretty decently sized slot. But yeah, it's something like that. I mean, on the PS5, pretty much all you do is take the faceplates off, slide off a little cover. Actually, you unscrew a cover and then there's just a little hole and you just plug
Sounds
it in. You put the
complicated.
cover back on, and then you put the little white covers
Yeah.
back on the PlayStation 5. It's super easy. So I assume it would be like that, but minus the covers. There's just gonna be like a
Yeah.
little
place. You on the back, you just pop a little cover, you plug it in, you pop the cover back on.
Yeah.
Good to go. More storage.
Anyway, to get to the question for Taker, I kind of think my gut feeling right now, and I will concede that my opinion on this has changed a couple times over the last year or so, but right now what I feel is that there's just one SKU. I don't want them to complicate things. Like, I just do $399.99, have it have enough storage, and just make a really good system, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do, but that's what I think. And then, you can invite revisions and higher storage models later down the road.
I agree. I think that is most likely the scenario. If there is 2 SKUs at launch, I think it will be very, very simple, and it will just be this one has more storage, this one has less storage. They are both the same thing, though.
Yeah.
And that's
showing
at the
Twitch.
most.
I gotcha. Steve West, who needs Switch 2 when you have an OLED?
To be fair, I don't have an OLED, so
yeah,
maybe
well,
I don't know the
good point.
power.
Yeah,
I have played with an OLED. It's a big upgrade, but I don't know. I still want the Switch 2.
Yeah. By the way, we pretty much know that Legend ZA is like coming out like summer at the earliest, apparently, based off how they handle the trading card sets, because we already know about some of the first few trading card sets for 2025, and none of them are related to Legends. Which doesn't really surprise me, because last time with Legends they told us it was coming out early 2021. They did not say early this time, so they're very purposeful with that wording. They said winter 2023 for the DLC, and we were like, oh no way it comes out December. That's exactly when it came out.
I think by this time, since the reveal of Legends Arceus, like, we had seen gameplay. I know the reveal, I don't think, had gameplay, but there was a trailer not too long after, I believe, that had gameplay, like a few months later or something.
I think the first Legends trailer did have gameplay, actually.
Oh, did it? I remember it being kind of like just drawings and sketches.
I don't know. You
and
might be
artwork
right. No, you're right.
But I think by this time, like, in the cycle, we would have already seen the gameplay.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I'm looking for it on my computer. My problem is that I typed Legend Arceus, so I couldn't find it. Oh, here it goes. Pokemon Legends Arceus, a familiar region, a new story. Is there any gameplay? There is gameplay. I could show you, but I just take my word for it.
That's the reveal trailer. Yeah.
Pretty sure. See, gameplay. I remember when they showed it, when they announced this, like, it kind of blew my mind that, like, there was leaks like right beforehand, and I was like, holy crap, they're actually doing something like this. And then so yep.
Yeah, I mean, clearly we haven't seen anywhere near as much of Legends ZA, considering we haven't seen anything of the game.
But it's also a longer reveal to release window. A lot longer than usually. They don't announce a Pokemon game at the beginning of a year and then wait well over a year before it comes out. But that's looks like what they're doing this time. So
when did they announce Legends Arceus? When in the year?
To the beginning of the year. They announced it like a year before release. They announced it in a Pokemon Presents in February, and it came out 11 months later.
When they announced it's the same. Okay. Yeah. I misunderstood at first what you were saying. But yeah, like, but what I'm saying is, like, they both got announced the same time of the year, but clearly we haven't even seen the game yet, and we saw gameplay back in February this time, when Arceus was being revealed. So clearly,
it's not going to come out in the same timeline, I would assume, or anywhere near. I would imagine it's
Yeah.
a summer makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, we pretty much know for a fact that it's not coming out January. So, yeah, it's not happening. Now, when they announce the Pokemon Presents next week and then they show the trailer and it comes out January, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that's happening. Anyway, let's see here. RNL asks me, I saw Deku scrubs in the recent trailer. Do you think there would be a possible item that a scrub might have that Zelda needs in order to enter those rifts? I'm not sure.
Possible?
I'm just not sure what are the
don't think it's that likely.
requirements to enter the rifts. It does seem like there's some story stuff going on before those rifts, right? Like we've seen character, like especially in the Gerudo area, like there's Gerudo all around it that you can talk to. I don't know if you need an item to get into them though.
I mean, I imagine you have to have some kind of way to get in there safely, because everybody does seem to turn to stone as soon as they get in there, except Link. So, although maybe he turned to stone too, and we just couldn't see. Or maybe Zelda just is immune to turning to
Goddess
stone.
powers.
Or maybe she gets
There's like the whole gold ring thing. It's different.
Could be that Tri
helps. Protects her. Yeah, which I think
Yeah.
Tri is just an extension of her own goddess powers, but yeah.
Right. Basically. I mean, he's just
we
seems to be
don't
an
know that
extension
for a
of Triforce
fact.
itself.
We just, it's just an assumption that's being made because the whole Triforce wisdom thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna work, but I do figure that there's gonna be a lot of Deku Scrub interactions. I imagine there will be side quests, and maybe there is some item exchange, just some kind.
I mean, it does seem like they're just in one
recipes at
specific
least,
area, so I
or
would be
ingredients.
surprised if they were the ones that give you something that important to the core aspect of the game.
And I mean, now that I think about it, I kind of feel like there's probably gonna be a forest dungeon. There's gonna be a desert dungeon, like the Deku. We've seen the Gora. I mean, actually, they've already kind of revealed 4 kind of elemental areas. You have the fire, with the Gorons, the water with the Zoras. You have the Deku Scrubs with the forest, and then the desert with the Gerudo. Like that's what it is. Maybe there's a couple other areas. Maybe they bring in the Rito, right? Because there's 2 different mountainsides. So we haven't.
I mean,
seen
with how big the map is, I would be surprised if there weren't more areas that we haven't seen.
I bet there. Yeah, for sure. We're on the same page there. Yeah. Let's see. Arnold asks me, do you think the Switch 2 will be more advanced? 100% it'll be more advanced. It's going to be a lot more powerful. It's going to be arguably one of the biggest jumps we'll have seen in a long time.
Yeah. Facts. I mean, it's very hard to tell what advanced is such an open thing to say, but yeah, I mean, hell, they may even call it the advanced. You know, maybe they call it the Switch Advanced.
They may.
But yeah, I think that will be the general impression. Is that in pretty much every aspect it has advanced significantly.
Mm-hmm. Wilberforce Wooster, given the Pokemon Company's struggles, spending more time in the oven doesn't sound that bad. I think most of us are on the same page here. Yeah, we're all good with this. Brandon, you there?
I'm here.
I lost you for a second.
Yeah, my mic. There's some like crumbs or some dust or something in the port where I have my mic plugged in, so sometimes it disconnects. And for some reason, that took me out of the call.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're back. I do feel like we should wrap things up. But we do have one more topic to discuss before we do that. So, and interestingly, like right as I was saying that, I seen Nish Quick Pops in the chat. Shout out to Nish Quick Pops, who covers a lot of RPG things, including Monolith Soft stuff, like basically Xenoblade.
Right.
Am I hyped for Xenoblade Saga 4, Nish Quick? I am hyped for whatever Monolith Soft is cooking. And so with that, I will say, lost Brandon again. I'm sure he'll be back soon. He's got that Crumb thing going on. But we got that. We mentioned it in the beginning of the show. Let me add Brandon back. You there? Can you hear me when you get your crumbs up your, I don't know where?
No.
Okay. Well, anyways, Monolith Soft has announced a new recruitment page. And in that recruitment page, Tetsuya Takahashi, the general manager and executive director for the Xenoblade series, has this big message essentially talking about how they're hiring for a new RPG, several new roles. And they mention, he mentions open world there. So there seems to be a strong implications open world. They also talk about just like the need for greater ambition and I'm paraphrasing, but with greater technology, like essentially like they need a bigger, more advanced team to make a bigger, more advanced game. And so it really kind of screams, okay, they're working with more powerful hardware here, almost certainly Switch 2, probably going to be open world, given they mentioned open world stuff in the message. It's a new RPG. And that's kind of the takeaways from the message. There is I think the effect designer, one of the things that they're expected to be able to know how to use is EmberGen. And apparently that it's a tool that can create like different effects. It's a very, very basic understanding, but it's not something that is used for Switch really. So it's just kind of like another little nugget of info that seems to suggest that this is definitely not a Switch 1 game, if the timing alone doesn't tell you that. But because that they are hiring for several different roles, and they kind of talk about how they put 8 roles, but it's inviting for all types of talent. So the suggestion is that they're just hiring a lot of people right now for this project.
Right.
I don't think this is something that's like really close. This is something that's still early on. But it's going to be a big deal. But what's interesting about this, now that this listing is up, there is another listing that has been up since 2017 that is now gone from Monolith Soft's recruitment page.
Right.
The new IP page.
Yes.
The big action fantasy and medieval RPG page, it's gone now. For all these years, they've had it up. Now it's gone.
What does it all mean?
What does it all mean? I basically think that what it means is that the new IP we've been waiting for is finally happening, as I've been thinking. I do think that the Midori leaks are true. With already 2 of them are proven true. One of the leaks was for Echoes of Wisdom, the 2D Zelda, and the other was for Super Mario Party Jamboree. I do believe that the Legacy codename leak is probably for Monolith Soft's new IP. And I even think Legacy really matches up to some sort of fantasy medieval style kind of game. And it doesn't match up with any of the Xenoblade code names. And if you look at the pattern of release for Monolith Soft games, when they have a break year, they follow it up with something, right? So 2024 is a break year. We are positioned. Keep jumping out of me, Brandon. We are positioned for a Monolith Soft release in 2025 based off like the last 10 years of their release schedule. So I think that this new RPG listing is a sign that the other project is close enough that they no longer need to advertise hiring for this game in such a big way. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't hire, because hiring happens at all times, but it's no longer the focus in terms of hiring. And I think it bodes well for it to release next year as a part of the Switch 2 window. And then this other project that we're now hearing about, this new RPG, there's a debate about if it's going to be a Xenoblade game or not. What we do know is that the Klaus trilogy of Xenoblades 1 through 3 has concluded, and that Takahashi does want to continue the Xenoblade series, but what he does next with it is maybe going to be it's not going to fall quite within our expectations. So it's going to be a little different, is the main point there. Is it so different that it's no longer called Xenoblade? That remains to be seen. But something I covered in today's video, I also looked at their one of the Q&As that they had for Xenoblade 3, and Genki Yakota, one of the producers and directors for Xenoblade 3, it also works for EBD Group 2. It's kind of like the liaison between main Nintendo and Monolith Soft, but basically he said, yeah, I want to continue Xenoblade forever or as long as possible. So there's clearly still an interest to continue the Xenoblade series. We're not sure if this next game that not the new IP that we're thinking is coming out next year, but this other game, right, is going to be Xenoblade or not. It kind of remains to be seen. But something else that was interesting, I saw that Stealth had shared this and mentioned it in my video. Let me see. I think I liked it. Oh yeah. So here, Stealth had tweeted out that Yasunori Mitsuda retweeted Monolith Soft's new RPG recruitment announcement. He's one of the people behind the soundtrack for a lot of the recent Xenoblade games. So there's an implication that by retweeting it, he's advertising because he's a part of the project. He's worked on prior Xenoblade soundtracks, so he may be working on this other game. So it may very well feel like a Xenoblade game or just straight up be a Xenoblade game. Also, Tetsuya Takahashi, the main director for all the Xenoblade games, is the main director for this game too, right? So this is his next project, whatever that is. I think it's probably something Xenoblade. But what do you think, Brandon?
I don't know. As far as the 2017 project disappearing, I also hope it. I don't think it's been canceled. I think it would have got canceled a long time ago if it was going to. And I do expect to see something from Monolith Soft in the first probably 12 months of Switch 2 being released.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be that game. As far as this game goes, I mean, I definitely agree with you. It's not something that's going to be anytime soon. In fact, I kind of get the vibes that they just started working on this very recently. Not like, when they announced this, obviously, but like maybe within the past, like maybe sometime this year is when they started this. Potentially early in the year is when they started considering this project. So I wouldn't expect to see this for a few years. Although if this is the next Xenoblade game, then that's different because I do imagine that the team would have been working on the next Xenoblade game, at least in some manner, right after the DLC was done for Xenoblade 3. I do expect there to be a longer gap, definitely a longer gap than we saw between Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But at least the same gap we saw between 2 and 3, if not a little bit more, since, they may be changing things up. I don't think the next Xenoblade game is going to be... Obviously, story-wise, I think it would be significantly, not necessarily connected in the same way we always see. But the stories have always been, very different, although connected stories. So in that sense, it won't be connected, but it'll still feel different. I don't think... Obviously, every time they change the battle mechanics up, I don't think this is going to be all of a sudden not an RPG at all or something. Well, obviously, this is an RPG.
It's called a new RPG. So,
but I think this won't be all of a sudden play like Devil May Cry or something. All of a sudden,
there's a lot of RPGs that are in real time, like total real time. I mean, Xenoblades are technically in real time, but there's a one-to-one movement and attacks is maybe what we can say that Xenoblade isn't totally.
Right.
Although it's
they may lean more in that direction.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be completely. I mean, we maybe see something interesting like I don't know exactly how it works, but I believe like Final Fantasy VII Remake, I believe it was that the game they had like
one-to-one attacking.
No, I mean which game is it? I think it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. The one that has like RPG, like a menu you can pull up and like use RPG mechanics, like traditional mechanics. I forget which Final Fantasy game that is. It may not have been 7 Remake, but doing something similar to that would be interesting. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to just be like, oh, we're traditional like action RPG, full real time. There's going to be a lot of unique things to the battle mechanics, and that make it more kind of an in between. Still, but they may lean more action focused in this and whatever they do.
Yeah,
I
I
do
see
think it would be called
Nitwick is
Xenoblade though.
suggesting that maybe the game would play like Tales of Arise. I'm looking at gameplay of it now. I don't know. It looks kind of like
Exactly on that.
pretty much like 1-to-1 real-time combat, but you can like pick some different arts or something. I don't know. And roll and dodge. Yep. I think that'd be fine. Yeah. I mean, I do kind of feel like that if they did that, it would probably reach a larger audience. I think a lot of people get turned
Yeah.
off by seeing the whole auto attack thing and having to wait to do things. Even though I know for people who get the Xenoblade combat system, I'm one of them, that there's a lot to it and it's pretty deep and engaging. I think there's a way to have still a very deep and engaging combat system, employ some of those elements, but also have it happen in 1-to-1 total real time or something close to it. That way more people can fall in love with it. So yeah, I think it could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, specials like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Oh, I love the blade combos, Nishquick. The blade combos from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 are just art in motion, bro. They're so
Very
good. Love them. Love them. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I think I don't know. I'm very curious just like how things are gonna go. This is kind of like my map, how my vision map, maybe. I guess I don't have any visuals though of how I kind of think this is gonna go. I think the new IP comes out next year, late next year, for Switch 2. And I think that's actually a pretty healthy gap because Future Redeemed was the DLC that came out early last year, right? So in comparison to other gaps between Monolith Soft's releases, that's actually a longer gap than usual. So I'm actually kind of giving them a little bit more room here. And it fits the pattern, right? So I see that coming late next year. And maybe they take a break or they have DLC or something. But I think in between this new IP and this new RPG we're seeing the hiring for now, I think we see Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. And then after that, there'll probably be a 1-year break after that releases. And then we see this new RPG. So I basically, I think we won't see it for another 3 to 4 years. But that's kind of the roadmap I sort of envision. And I think that could be, I mean, I think it'll be pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
I think everyone would love that if that's how things go down. And what I also think is interesting about maybe positioning Xenoblade Chronicles X after this new IP is that if they are going back to Xenoblade but not the Klaus trilogy, Xenoblade X is the only Xenoblade game that's not a part of the Klaus trilogy. So that would be a great way to remind people about Xenoblade, but also kind of adjust their perspectives for a different kind of Xenoblade. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, we don't know how this new RPG is going to go, but here's one interesting thing that we do know about this new RPG is that, or we think based off what Takahashi said, open world. And Xenoblade X is actually more open world than all the other Xenoblade games.
Right.
Like I know a lot of people like to call the Xenoblade games open world, but they're technically not. They're more like open linear. Xenoblade X is literally open world.
Yeah. Xenoblade X I would consider an open world game for sure.
Yeah, although the story is linear though. The chapters still happen linearly. You can't do chapters out of order.
But I mean,
go to any area pretty much from the get-go.
Yeah. That's basically how open world games work though. If they have a story, obviously it has to be linear. It's
well, I mean, there's a lot of
certain way. It needs to be told a certain
that you can the thing is, open world comes with the implication you can progress however you choose, and
I mean, not really. It can, but open world does. Definitely does.
Anyways,
not mean
point is that Xenoblade X is pretty much universally considered to be open world. And so if the next new RPG is also open world, that's another it's another kind of it just makes Xenoblade X into a very interesting bridge title between whatever they're going to put out next and what we assume is the future is Xenoblade, because for story reasons and also for openness gameplay reasons, even though they may be completely different from each other. So I think that's kind of how I think that things are going to go. We'll see, but it makes a lot of sense to me.
I would be very happy, and I think it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Looking at the chat here, the real J-Stone asks me, do you think Metroid Prime 4 is the launch title for Switch 2? Despite being backwards compatible, Nintendo had faith in the game to be successful. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is a day one title. I've definitely considered the possibility before. I think it's an early Switch 2 title. I think it comes out within the first 2 to 4 months. But I don't think it's a day one title. I think it's just an early Switch 2 title. It's coming for Switch 1 as well. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I think. RNL asks me, should Nintendo do a sequel to Super Mario RPG? Should they? Yes. Will they? I mean, technically, Paper Mario is a sequel to Super Mario RPG. Technically. But now we're seeing Mario and Luigi make a comeback. Paper Mario is as strong as ever. So I think we're going to have both of those going forward. So that's pretty good. Let's see here. Connor asks me, question, I'm concerned about the new female Kirby character that is related to Susie Haltman, which is Polly. I mean, she is going to be part of the Kirby series with Kirby's friends. I have no idea. What? Connor? I
those words mean nothing to me.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I don't know. Who's Kirby Polly? Is Polly this Reddit or 4chan leak character that might be real, but we're not sure? I mean, whoever they are, I think it's a cool looking character, but we'll see if it's actually real, or not. Don't know. We'll see on that one. Going back to what Nishwick was saying here, Nishwick said, I think Legacy will be directed by Kojima since he was a director for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 but wasn't involved in Future Redeemed. I think it's going to be interesting to see a different director for a Monolith Soft game that is an actual full-on Monolith Soft game, because they haven't made anything but Xenoblade since they've been with Nintendo in terms of their own fully developed games. They've co-developed a whole bunch of games. They've done support work on Mario Kart. No, Mario Kart was Retro Studios, but they've done support work for Splatoon, Animal Crossing, Zelda. So it'll be very interesting to see how that comes together. And I'm very curious, how different this game will be compared to everything else. When we go back to the hiring page for the new IP that no longer exists, one of the initial posts was talking about how this would be different from the overall brand of Monolith Soft. I wonder what that means. Does that mean it's less of an RPG and more of a real-time action game? There is also talk of online components to it. I don't know. But there's a lot of interesting possibilities there. With Monolith Soft games, I typically expect these big fantastical worlds to explore, with amazing music and fun combat and good story. So if all that is there, then I'm in. So I'm very optimistic, and maybe we even see it in a Switch 2 teaser this year. We might only see it for 5 seconds. We'll be like, oh, what's that crazy game that looks open world? Might be Monolith Soft's thing. I didn't even realize Brandon was gone, except until he was being quiet.
I was in the void.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've kind of covered the latest topics for the evening. I've been yawning.
Yeah.
Having Hope does ask, how's Ruby? She's doing well. Nice. Brandon, if you want to give your thoughts on whatever while I go fetch her real quick to show people, and then I'll call it a night.
Oh, sure.
I'll be right back.
Andres was talking about the new IP may have some online mechanics. I want to see Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition with online mechanics. I know that Xenoblade Chronicles X already has some online, but I feel like they just dip their toe in the water, whereas they need to take a little dive in the pool, swim around a little bit, you know. Like let us have a team of 4 people online, running around the open world and doing missions. Yeah, how let us do the story together. There's usually people in the story in your party, anyways. So why not just let them be controllable by your friends online? Why not let me have a team of 4 of my friends running around in mechs in Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition online? That's what we need. I was just telling the people we need Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition to have robust online support.
Yeah,
I
maybe
want to
they
be able to have
redesign it a
4.
little bit.
I want to have 3 of my friends flying around, be able to explore the game together,
Oh
do
yeah,
quests.
instead of just yourself, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because they have like little missions you can do together, but it's just like just fighting one enemy.
Yeah, that would be a significant change, though, which I'm all for.
I feel like the game is set up to be able to support it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean,
But maybe
and,
maybe they just don't let you do just the story missions to make it easier to develop for. So
I
don't
mean,
have
they
to worry
also
about
can
the story
just
scenario
scale
stuff.
damage, but or if you're,
Yeah,
or I mean, if each player is controlling one character in the party, then
yeah. I would assume they would just disable
Yeah.
the party members that you normally have, and then you would just
Yeah.
have your friends instead.
yeah. Taker with the super chat. Actually, I got to this one from earlier, but there's this one for now.
Watch out for the rifts. Yes,
Yes, Brandon, watch out for those rifts.
they keep getting
Uh,
me.
They
They're
do keep
stealing me
getting
away.
you. Yeah. But anyways, everyone, that is all for now. Thank you for all the super chats and likes and comments and watching, everyone. It's very much appreciated. We'll see you all soon. I'm gonna go to bed. I've been up for a very long time, but
Thanks.
it looks like Nintendo has been heating up lately, so we may have a lot more to
Yeah.
discuss pretty soon. All right, have a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.